announced that recording was in process.
That's because I did it backwards, but that's okay.
Okay.
It is recording.
All right, we are on. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so let's call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Looks like we have a full house. No need to appoint any alternates. Are there any?
Excuse me, Scott's missing.
Oh, Scott is missing. Oh, where is he?
He's not there.
Yeah. All right.
Not yet. No. Really? Oh, he went to the,
All right, so appoint Lee. Will you step in as alternate?
Okay, will do.
All right. There've been any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there are two changes. Case P 2214 has submitted a request for a continuance to the December 20th, 2022 meeting. And case P 2230 has withdrawn.
Okay, on the case 2214, they did not provide any reason for the continuance. And I think that the board should request that next time, if there is another continuance, that they need to provide a valid reason. We keep kicking this can down the road. So those are the only changes.
Yes.
And regarding the meeting minutes, we have that listed under new business for the approval of the meeting minutes, but they're not quite ready yet. So should we strike that?
Yep, if you want to continue that to the November 20th meeting.
Yeah. Right, can I get a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the first thing on our agenda is a joint meeting with the Master Plan Committee to present the complete draft of the master plan. And we have Tara online. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
All right.
As long as you return.
Yeah, you want to go there too? Yeah, because we got enough. 1, 2, 3. You have a plan? Okay, we're gonna move down.
Back where I belong.
There you go.
Yeah, we're good.
Here we are. Here we all are. Hi there.
Hi there. All right, so I suppose we should probably go around the table, have you all announce yourselves, just so it's on the record.
Bob Regan. Paul LaRochelle.
Kelly Sullivan, Chair of the Master Plan Committee.
Will O'Neill.
Russ Wilder. Tom Hoops.
And Tom Hoops. All right. So, so everybody here has received this master plan, has had the opportunity to review it.
Introduced her.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Tara, yes, and Tara, would you introduce yourself as well?
She's on.
Sure. Tara Bamford, the consultant to the excellent master plan committee.
Thanks for being here, Tara.
Thank you. So this is kind of my first time going through this. I don't even know what the proper procedure would be, but
I figured I would introduce us and then just open the floor.
Okay.
Is that
So,
okay?
yeah.
Okay. So good evening. Again, we're the Master Plan Committee. On behalf of the entire Master Plan Committee, please let me say how very excited we are to finally be here presenting the final draft, or the draft of our final master plan, I should say. The Master Plan Committee has been hard at work since our first meeting on October 7th, 2020. With the passing of a warrant article in March of 2021, an RFP process, and the passing of a second warrant article in March of 2022, the committee was able to hire community planning consultant Tara Bamford, who has been the backbone of this update and has contributed an enormous amount of assistance and preparation with the creation of all of this all-important document. She herds cats extremely well. If there's nothing else you can say about Tara, but she is extremely so helpful in this process. Throughout the committee's numerous meetings, townwide survey and discussions with townspeople, business owners, associations, town staff, and others, master plan has grown from 2 chapters, which was the vision and goals and land use, to a full-blown plan that includes 6 chapters. Introduction and vision, priorities for the next 10 years, natural resources, historic resources, land use, and infrastructure. So the master plan does encompass the entirety of the town. So we spoke to numerous townspeople, we did the survey, we spoke to department heads, a plethora of people, and information went into the making of this plan. And with Tara's help, we sorted through it all and present this document to you. We hope that you've had time and taken the time to look it over and read it. And we're wondering if you have any questions or comments, all of the above.
I got one here.
Jump right in.
It's always you, Roger.
Did we get this in an email or something?
Well, yes.
Several times.
Yes.
This final one?
Yes.
And the
several
fine,
times.
and a copy of the final draft is also available on the town website for quite some time now, probably about 2 weeks, I think.
least.
Yes, 2 weeks.
All right, well, it's awful quiet here, so I'll lead off.
Thanks, Drew.
So I want to apologize. First of all, I read through this. I have notes all scribbled in my other copy of this, as well as a whole separate sheet of comments written up, and they're all sitting on my desk in Portsmouth.
We'll take them.
How's your memory?
We're gonna find out. First of all, an amazing job. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. It is a thorough digging in, and I think you've captured the essence of Alton in the writing of this. I think you did an amazing job. My only, and I'm going to keep just a couple of comments. And I think I've expressed this once before.
Uh-oh, I know where we're going.
Yeah, you know where we're going. The word
Word
cloud.
cloud.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the word cloud, and I think that this would be more effective to be listing the words that were most mentioned first. So in other words, the highest frequency to the lowest frequency, I think would be as effective, if not more effective, than the word cloud. I think the word cloud is almost elementary in its presentation.
Okay.
The other item I had was there was a lot of focus on environmental and the
Natural resources.
Yeah, natural resources. It's the bulk of this in quite a bit, and I understand that is a very important part, but I almost feel that that's too wordy and could be a little bit of a turnoff to people who are reading this. So that's just a kind of a thought and an observation. It's incredibly informative, but it's a lot. I had most of my other items were small. There were minor grammatical corrections here and there, and I'll send those out separately when I get back in the office tomorrow. So that, we can share that, but it's just, little things like that
Sure.
I picked up in the reading. There was one other item, and I just marked it because it caught my attention, and now I will never find it again, but it was, here it is. Page 2-9. You talk about the ratios this has to do with the cost of housing. And that cost of one's home should not exceed 2.5 times the gross annual household income, and how we're up to 3.8, but with the latest valuations, and I didn't redo the math, but I think it was at 4.2 or 4.1, if I'm not mistaken. And I just thought that might add to the impact of what this paragraph is stating, is how the housing is becoming so unaffordable.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
And that's all I got.
Pretty good points, though.
Yeah, working from memory too.
Not bad.
How did you find the readability?
Overall, good. It just, like I said about the natural resources and all of that, it just seemed to
Drag on.
drag on a little for me, so.
I
Can
guess
I hop
I
in
just
with
have-
one question on that? Before we go back to the master plan committee and talk about what to do to respond to your comments. When it seems that when we met earlier with the planning board about the natural resource and land use chapter, we're actually asked to put in more detail to back up some of the proposed zoning changes because it provides the foundation for a lot of the zoning changes that are in there. So one concern would be if you water it down, do you really have what you need to back up any proposed zoning changes? Something to consider.
Thanks, Tara.
I agree with Tara. It's all I think what is, there's so much there that you start reading it and eventually you get steered off. But I agree. I mean, everything you need to know is here. If you want to know something, all you gotta do is look for it. It's here.
Yeah.
That's, and unbeknownst to any, if you want the information's here. If you choose to skip that part, well, that's your own.
It's a lot of information to
It's a
take in.
lot, but it's all good information.
It is, and like
It is. It's
Tara
a
said,
meeting.
it was for the backbone for any changes that would be proposed, and that's how we try to approach all of the chapters, was to give each chapter a backbone on which to stand for any possible changes or action plans that would come up in the future. So therefore, you kind of have to have a lot of that
The
information.
key is that what Jim Sessler used to say was there are three things that guide the legality of the town. It's the vision, the master plan, and the zoning, and they all have to agree. So that key information has to be there for the defense of the town.
Yeah.
For any proposal if we make a proposal that's not proposed in this, then we have no feet to stand on.
And also for grant writing, I had a couple of department heads state that, they need certain information in the master plan because grant writing will look to a town's master plan to help make a decision on whether that town will be granted a grant.
Yeah, I think, along those lines, one of the grants that Public Works might be going for are some stormwater money. And so there's a lot of information in there. I agree with you, Drew, about water quality and the hydrology of the town and so forth. They can just pick that stuff up full cloth and use it in the grant. So that's.
Yeah, you lose the lake, you lose your tax base.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true. Yes.
So from my standpoint, I would echo that. I think it was a quite excellent job. 2 points though, relative to action items throughout the document, I wonder if you could tighten it up by being more specific, who has actions or responsibility on these points?
So there is,
In the end.
there is a separate action.
Yeah, I haven't seen that then, I
No,
guess.
So when we had honestly, I'm sorry, I don't remember who was
I have
at both
draft.
of the meetings.
Glance at it.
But we hosted 2 joint meetings with the planning board. And for those meetings, we had a separate action plan sheet that's in an Excel spreadsheet. And it does tell who is
Okay.
to be the head, to be on that action item. But at one of those meetings, the planning board had asked us to put the action items within the actual document.
It was
So to
me.
try to do that, right? So, okay, so to try to do that, we have those,
But this can be- this can be
the
in
blue
back.
boxes
blue,
at the
yeah.
end of each chapter to try to
Summary.
summarize the
Right.
chapter, but then we will also give you a separate action item
I
packet
remember that.
that is more detailed.
And that's
So
Perfect.
trying to
Okay,
do that more or less.
that addresses that issue. Okay.
And that table can be used in order to keep the focus on the master plan as we go forward. over the
Exactly.
Coming years. So, yeah, you're right. We need it in the back.
And so like for readability and obviously like content is important, like we had already stated for a number of reasons, but readability, so we tried to make it readable And then we try to put the action items in there, but then give a separate, because the separate sheet is very detailed. It's more, it does state if there could be 4, departments or people that are, for that. But we found it easier to go through and just summarize the end of each chapter
Okay.
What the action plans
to
are.
try to give everybody more bang for their buck, I guess.
Then it also alludes to this hazard mitigation plan in the document. There's no link at this point, so I guess trying to understand how that ties to this would be beneficial too
Sure.
at this point.
So,
Can I
Karen-
comment? Can I-
sure, absolutely.
So the hazard mitigation plan eventually will be up on the website.
Yeah,
So there'll be an actual link
okay,
to get to it. And I believe that they're updating it as well.
as we speak.
As-
Okay.
That's what I was told, yeah.
Okay.
And while we have just a quick second, I believe I did omit that we are the committee, and I know Jessica is the planner, but she was at every meeting and also rallied us and has done an extensive amount of work towards this. So she deserves a lot of kudos to this as well.
Go girl.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
A
thank you.
few nightless sleeps.
Couldn't do it without her.
Well, every committee sings that song,
That's true.
right?
But if you've served on committees,
No, that's what I'm saying.
like if you have those people that do it, you want to point them out because
I know.
not
Well,
everybody does it.
Jessica is on every committee.
Oh, she is on every committee. Yes, you're right.
Yes, The first master plan that I was on, this is my third. The first one I was on, we did our own minutes, our own notes. So it's greatly appreciated.
Oh, yeah.
It made all the difference in the world.
Oh,
Did anybody else have any other questions or comments?
The only thing I see here is the future land use map. We actually discussed this last time you guys were here. And I still see that the RR zone is still missing.
And what page is that, please?
That's 5-20.
So I think isn't that because the kind of
Future
trying
land
to
use map.
clarify these zones, so there's rural and then there's residential, not the blurry rural residential.
That's a zone, that's an important zone, as we discussed before, because that's a zone where you can more likely have a business.
Right. So I believe,
A lot of things in that zone that you were able to do without having to go get a special exception.
Right.
so
I think you're right, Roger.
This is a future land use map because
Well,
what
it's
it,
a-
what
it's
it
a wannabe.
what it recommending is that the rural residential be either rural or residentially,
Well,
not the two.
Let me explain the difference. I mean, you can say that the rural is the zone where you can do the most,
Right,
but everything that you do, you have to come here
right.
for a
So
special
so
exception.
special, right.
So basically, it's the government ruling you on everything. Whereas the residential commercial zone has things that says what you can do there, and you can just do it. You don't have to come here and
Right.
ask permission.
So just to be,
It's a very important zone to the community, and we had that whole discussion before.
we did.
yeah, to be clear, and this is why the planning board needs to have these conversations, the map goes with the text. So it's important to understand what the text says, and if the planning board isn't comfortable with it and the recommendations, then that's your job to tell us what revisions to make. But right now, the map goes with the text because the text is saying to reevaluate the rural residential district and have more area where business is allowed by right.
And
To have
and again-
additional commercial districts where business would be allowed by right and have other areas, maybe they don't make as much sense to have business and they would go to rural.
And again, this is just a recommendation and it gives the context. All of those discussions would be held here at the planning board level.
Yeah, in other
Isn't
words,
that what we're here for now?
no, because this is a plan, this is a recommended plan. You may, and it's up to the planning board to agree that this, what we're recommending. But in order for it to actually happen, the planning board would have to change the zoning. This is just a future land use map as recommended by what we heard from the public and what we, trying to get more commercial zone around the downtown and keep the rural more rural, but you can still get a special exception.
For instance, if I may, to not read the whole page, the proposed reconfiguration of the current residential commercial zoning district into 3 separate zoning districts is shown on the concept form on the future land use map, which is the one you're pointing out to on 520. Both Alton Village and the new commercial district should emphasize businesses that would provide services needed by Alton residents and that would provide livable wage jobs. These could both be mixed-use areas, but with residential uses limited to higher density types. And then it does go on. So it just says we feel that these changes maybe you should think about, and then it shows the layout, but it's nothing set in stone. That's for the planning board to decide if they want to adopt those in the future. But Tara's extensive background of writing multiple master plans and working for the state, we took all of that into consideration when proposing these changes.
And it's important to note that it's not a zoning map, it's a future land use map.
And so this,
Well, it's a tool that in the future they use and say, well, this is what the people want.
right.
I don't know necessarily that's what they said in all the stuff that you, because basically what you're doing is you're taking something away from them. Not adding, you're taking away.
So
I think there's a couple ways to look at this. I mean, yes, we're taking away the RR zone, but they're adding other zones in here. And
Well, no, you're just, it's everything else is there. All they're doing is subtracting the
No,
RR
there's
zone.
look at the Cs.
Where the Cs are, yeah.
Yeah, but the RR zones, somebody can start a business if they want to get a cord, start cutting cordwood at their house or whatever, they can start cutting, selling without
And-
permission. The way you've got it set up right now, they've got to come to the planning board to start selling firewood on the side if they want to.
I don't know if that's entirely accurate.
That's what an RR zone is.
Well, yes, I agree with that portion of your statement, but all the finite details of what's allowed and what's not allowed, is not determined yet. That's something that
correct.
This is
Well,
just
this is what I'm
suggested.
saying.
Right.
Yeah, something that
It's
is
just a
actual work
suggestion.
done and-
This
and
could help you
Exactly.
manage the town better. It's just a suggestion. Any changes happen here.
This is up for you to decide.
What I'm saying is, we've taken away the RR zone, just like Roger's saying. There's no RR zone, which I live in an RR zone.
Mhm.
And there's many businesses over there that people are just running out of their house.
Lee, they haven't taken it away yet. This isn't just, we're
I
the
know.
ones that would have to take it away.
You will make
It's
that
just a
final
I
decision.
suggestion.
understand this, but
Yeah,
this
no,
is
but
what I'm saying.
this is the foot, the
Right, no,
first step.
I get what you're saying, but we don't have to, this is just their
Suggestion.
recommendation. This is. we
What
can
if in
change
5
this.
years you have 100 businesses, every single one of your neighbors has a business in the rural zone? And then all of a sudden your rural zone became a commercial zone. So, I mean, it just depends on that time.
My
This
whole
is
road
not
is
a
nothing
set in
but
stone. It's
businesses.
just a suggestion and
Well,
for you to look at in the future.
yeah, I also think it's important to look at the whole land use chapter together and understand the concept, because there's a brand new Alton Bay district, a brand new Alton Village district, and a brand new commercial district.
Right.
And a lot of the RR would become part of the new commercial district where
Oh, okay.
businesses would be allowed. And one of the other things that just caught my attention when you said somebody wouldn't be able to cut firewood. Well, the recommendations absolutely recommend allowing rural type businesses in the rural district. So you need to look at the whole package.
In the rural zone, yeah, with a special exception. Now, you
Well-
mentioned the Alton Bay and the Alton Village and the commercial zone. Those are built. They're done.
No, they're not.
Those aren't zoning districts. They're,
This, where these Cs are, that's not, well, right down here. That doesn't exist right now.
So there you're adding, you're not subtracting.
Right, we're
Right,
adding more
right.
commercial.
That's right.
Right.
More commercial area.
And Roger, if you
With
look
the-
on, if you look on 519, the last paragraph, it just says that the role of the rural residential zoning district should be reevaluated. That's all it is. Again, just a suggestion, should be.
Who said there should be? That's what you got from the people when you
This
asked
is,
them?
well,
Yeah,
this is
this
what
is
we
what-
got
this
from
is
the
what we got.
800 and something people.
So if I could just call a point that most respondents want business in town, but they don't want it smack in their face. And so that's where a lot of these proposed changes came from. They want business in town. They want small mom and pop businesses. They don't want box stores. They don't want big businesses. They were very specific about these things, but they also don't want to see it, which is, I
Exactly.
believe, a big reason why Hannaford is back behind McDonald's. So things like that, yes, we want development. We want business in town. We want the town to grow and thrive.
Not in their
But we
face.
want to do it in a way that will be best for our town to prosper. However, that is going forward. That's not for the committee to decide. That's just a suggestion. And if something came up into the town, if that's up to the planning board and the boards at that time to discuss and decide. This is not set in stone. It's just a suggestion.
And also, Roger, even if the planning board decides to go forward to change different zones, that's a massive job, and it all has to be done at town meeting. It cannot be done by the planning board.
That's right.
Right. And while we know nobody's
It's-
thrilled
it's
with
not
that
a simple
prospect,
change.
you have a tool to help you, should you choose to do that. That's the basis of this. Should you choose to do that, you have a tool to help guide you in through that process.
And you make the final decision on whether or not these changes take place.
Right.
And just to add to this, we touched on this, I think, in one of the earlier planning board meetings.
Yep.
And it seems in best practices for most towns, there are commercial zones that are designated. And I
Right.
think, when you look at trying to steer outcomes for the future, we certainly should be heeding that as I see it.
Thank you.
We did discuss that, but we also discussed putting back the RR. We need to put
Yep.
back the RR.
We haven't taken it away. It's
not
still
away.
there.
Nobody took it
No,
away.
It's not.
It's not on here.
It's not
So-
on, it's not on. the-
That's a future.
So I
That
would
has nothing to do
also,
with the present.
It's got nothing to do with now.
I would
No, we
also
understand
state,
that- We understand that when we got tomorrow, it's gonna be gone. I understand that. But what you're doing is the master plan, you're making the vision for the future. This is the way Alton wants to go. So what you're saying is Alton wants to get rid of a zone that is quite helpful. That there's no reason to get rid of. That it's all in favor of everything else that people in Alton want. They want business. They want to be able to have business. That zone is more favorable to business than perhaps the rural zone. Because the rural zone, now you've got to appease everybody. And of course, in the residential rural business, all you can have is what is allowed in the zoning. It's laid right out. If you want to have this business, bam, have it.
right, and that's what the
rural zone, if you
townspeople
wanna have
didn't
that
want.
business, you gotta come in here and
Right.
and everything has to be wonderful and beauty and the neighbors have to like it and you know,
That's what the survey said.
Yeah, but out of the 800 and something people, how many people replied?
Everybody had their opportunity.
How many replied?
It's about 3 times more than ever before in any respondents.
How many out of the town of Alton is what I'm asking replied out of the 800?
well,
Oh,
everybody.
800
All of those
812.
are 800 from the town of Alton.
812, I believe, 812, which is more than the last number of people that came out to vote.
Everybody had an opportunity.
Right, but what I'm getting at is, were they mostly from in the town area or rural
So
area?
if
or-
you,
It's mixed.
It is mixed.
That's all I'm asking, because I know in South Alton, you take every road over there and I'll bet you
So-
50% of the people over there have their own businesses. And this, all I'm saying is we should add the RR back in.
we sent a link to web-based survey and also mailed to all 5,723 voter and property owner addresses. We did mailings to everybody that votes or owns property in the town with the survey.
I'm not just,
And
I never got
of that,
to be honest.
818 responses were received, which again is more than the number of people that come out to vote. And again, I would just like to state, we can speak to this one topic all night, but it's not the whole master plan and it's only a suggestion. And it's nothing that's going to be solved tonight.
It's also that the plan doesn't recommend eliminating the rural residential zoning district. It recommends reviewing the role of it.
Just reevaluating it, that's all.
Why isn't it there? You can write.
Because it's not a zoning map, it's a future land use map. And rural
to rural is not-
residential just is not a land use.
Yeah, hang on, guys. Let
A little crazy here.
Terex talk and then.
Right, I was trying to answer his question of why isn't it there? Rural residential is not a type of land use. It's a zoning district and it's not a zoning map. It's a future land use map.
It's a
Not a
Pucciolini's
zoning
map.
Just a,
I think I did.
says it right on top.
It doesn't say
Land use map.
residential commercial either, because that's your zoning district, but it's a land use that isn't on this map.
Proposed uses as opposed to what's there now.
Right.
So
Well, I mean, like I say, it's not like we wake up tomorrow and it's reality. It's just paper.
there are several,
You could, would you feel better if it said just proposed future use map? Land use map? If it said the word proposed?
No, he's going to be having listed as residential rural.
Well, just
That way there, it's not automatic. It's not actually being done. It's something for review to look at in the future.
Or
To propose.
suggested.
It's a suggestion,
Proposed future.
proposed future land
Thank you,
map.
Paul. That's a
The
good.
key
That's
that
exactly what it is.
Tara was mentioning, it's not a zoning map.
It's a land use map.
right, you have several zoning districts that you don't see there, but you don't seem to be noticing those. Because they're not land use categories the way these are described.
And I agree with you, Roger. It needs to be in there, but it's nothing we're gonna do tonight. So if it makes
Would
us
come
feel
before
better,
the
I'm gonna
planning
put a
board
couple
anyway.
RRs in here and flip my page over and we'll move on to the next one. So we're not.
Well, that's what
Thank
I've
you.
already done.
I think the key word is
Because it
proposed.
doesn't matter if you can put an RR right here and it doesn't matter. It's until something votes. it gets
Any-
voted
Right.
on.
Any of this future land use map in the actual wording can change.
Correct. I get what he's saying, though. I mean,
I get what
it's-
he's
it's-
saying.
We all
it's
get what
something
he's
that we need to
saying.
look
Yep.
at is.
But I also think you have to really take into context everything of the master plan. Which probably takes a little bit more time than a quick read to
We've been
actually
working with
bring
this
it, you
for
know,
almost 2 years.
Just about
it
2
has
years.
been 2 years.
So
Yeah,
This
one
month.
year.
it takes time to understand what we're coming from. And it's going to take a couple of readings for you to really understand what is being proposed.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we're that much more familiar with it. And it's not something that's being foisted onto anybody.
No.
If a change has to take place, it has to be proposed by the planning board. And if a change were to ever be made for any zone, the public hearings you'd have to have would be, you have to jump through everything. It's a major step, even if we want to propose new commercial centers, because you're changing something to something else. Someone's ox is going to get gored.
I would also,
So you got to look at it from the point of view of a long-term plan.
And the mere fact that this committee was put together to help the planning board make future decisions. And to get the information from the townspeople, what they really want to see, the future of the town, where it goes and how it maintains itself and how it grows businesses. So this committee was put together, as you know, for you, to help you make decisions. And that's what this whole book is. It's a lot to understand. It's a lot to read through. It's going to take more than once. I'm still looking through it and still finding stuff new
and we've
myself.
read chapter
and
by
we did it.
chapter the whole time we've been working on it.
And it's been a process. And like we said, 2 years.
And to follow up with what Paul says, we surveyed the townspeople. We tried really hard to reach out to everybody and anybody. We also interviewed department heads, people that work in town. We tried to get as much information from as many different people as possible. This master plan is not something that the committee decided to put together. We were asked to help the planning board put this together on behalf of the town to help them, like Paul said, planning for the future. So I just want to make that clear. This was not something that we're saying, hey, we want all these changes. This was a lot of input taken in that we, with Tara and as a group, put together in a readable form to try to help the town plan going forward for 10 years. We might not all agree on everything. It's just a plan. It's a tool to help the planning board. Any true decisions would be made in the future here at this table through the planning department.
All I'm saying is let's put down, mention something about the mention something about the proposed, and let's move on.
And right now it does. I mean, it does not recommend getting rid of the rural residential district. It just says have a look at it after you've made these new, after you've carved out these new commercial districts and taken another look at the businesses allowed in the rural, see if you then feel you still need the RR.
-28.
Thoroughly review.
Eliminate the residential commercial district.
Yes, after thoroughly reviewing. It's a suggestion that you thoroughly review your zoning ordinances, and then these are possible, and it goes with the whole chapter. You can't go page by page and pick one single thing out because that
Gotta read the
goes
whole.
with the entire chapter.
But it says review it and consider. It doesn't say to eliminate it.
All I'm saying is that to the average homeowner reads this, that's what they're gonna be fixated on, stuff like eliminate residential commercial districts.
Well,
which
I
is
think
people
you,
running their own business, they're gonna be fixated on that
But-
more than, they're gonna pick.
Well,
certain
the
individuals.
question
They're not-
should be, why is it being suggested? Isn't there something else being proposed in its place?
Your average homeowner ain't gonna think that way. They're gonna-
Sure. I mean, there's whatever you take something away, there's a give and a take always.
but I would come back to section 2.3, where the largest point evidently in terms of feedback from people was regarding commercial development. So that's something that clearly falls at the doorstep of
What
the
page
planning
is that?
board,
Yes.
as I see it.
2.3,
Yes, thank you.
section 2.3.
I'm not familiar with too many towns that have residential commercial districts. It seems like an oxymoron to me. It's either residential or it's commercial or some variation of one of those.
Well, this doesn't, the commercial zones, what they talk about, the text talks about is mixed use as well.
Right.
So typical old town, the old towns used to be, a store was on the first floor and there was people living up above. So that type of thing.
When you
is
get into that village perspective.
Village
Yeah.
perspective, right?
So it's at the doorstep of the planning board as well, to
Yes.
take it up as an
Yes.
action,
So
right?
these
Yes.
are, what we did is
Exactly.
we took all this input from everybody and we crafted together based on what we heard,
The best case scenario that you.
how we could address what we heard. And, but it's, none of this can happen unless you make it happen.
And just, you highlighted, Roger, about the 528 in that very first sentence. If you go to the very last one on 528, review the role of the rural residential zoning district and consider incorporating portions into the most appropriate adjacent district. So they are taking into consideration that the benefits of rural residential.
And again,
Yes.
it's just reviewing.
Right.
My only point is, I'm sure you've heard it many times, in the spirit of the master plan.
Mhm.
I mean, that's basically how we try and do our businesses, in the spirit of the master plan. So according to this master plan, we want that residential rural zone.
According
So
to
when
this
they come
master
in- so when
plan-
They come in to suggest that, well, the master plan suggested, they suggested, let's just get rid of it.
But the town
But nobody-
people vote on that.
They would
And
vote.
if they don't
Exactly.
agree with that, then it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
I-
It doesn't, won't exist.
And it's the town. You're trying to respond to the people of the town, not a few individuals in the town. We're talking about the whole town.
The respondents were pretty specific. They want business, but they don't want it in their face. They want business. They don't want box stores. They were very specific about those things.
Rural residential doesn't mean box stores.
I'm
It's
not saying
something
it
that's
did.
allowed in box stores, but you keep bringing that up. We really,
Well, because that's
really
what,
need to move on.
because that's what the respondents keep saying. So I was just saying that's what the respondents keep saying.
I mean, we all say that, we don't want it.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Until we have Hannaford. I know.
Well, there were a lot of comments about restaurants and types of restaurants. So you can't pick and choose your restaurants. You either say no fast food restaurants, or whoever wants to come in, come in. You can't, there are certain rules and regulations that the state has
Right.
that we have to abide by. So when you get people commenting saying, oh, why'd you let them do that? Well, there are certain things that you can't prevent. If they meet the requirements and have the land, they have a right to do it.
Can I suggest something that might help? Tara, would it be possible to, and I'm not sure, I don't think it's in here, but how would this, say, tonight, we're presenting this to you, this is our draft, and this would be your master plan that you would put out. It doesn't have to have, you have a public hearing, but it's your master plan. It's the planning board's master plan. Would it help to have a section in here say, how does it work? How does the master plan implement it? In other words, the history is the master plan committee was created and it did all these things and created this document. What happens next? The planning board will use this to guide the future growth of the town. And what does that entail? They might say, well, we were going to, the planning board looks at all the zoning and says, we'd like to make some changes. Then any changes that the planning board recommends to zoning would have to go through public hearings and go to the town for a vote too, right?
Right.
In order to change the zone. So
That's right.
I don't know if there's any
Also,
language like that in there that just says, how does this thing work once you
It
have
could
it?
certainly be added, sure.
also.
So is what you're thinking an expansion of section 1.1, the purpose of the master plan?
And I was just going to bring that up, Tara.
Really?
Adding more details and examples to that?
Right.
Adding it to the
If they wanted
purpose.
to do this is what would have to happen.
And I would also,
Questions that we've been talking tonight about how do you actually use this thing?
And also the CIP committee, that they are very dependent upon this document.
yes.
That's a good point. I think something like that, a paragraph about that big, stuck in section 1.
And
And
I
also,
didn't see how big.
The 4 fingers, no.
Okay,
But also, I think that the concept is this, as we talk right now, we'll go back and make some final corrections and whatnot. It'll be given to the planning board. The planning board can still alter it. Then when we're satisfied with what it is, if we are satisfied with what it is, we adopt it. It doesn't go to town meeting or anything else. It's adopted by the planning board. And then it becomes the official master plan of the town. If changes want to be made, we can make the changes beforehand. There's a lot of time before this is actually done. So that, I mean, this is not something that's written in stone.
No.
Until it's adopted. Once it's adopted,
right, it's our
Once-
final draft. We've been working on it
Yeah.
for 2 years and we finally have everything put together in a final draft to present for questions and comments and things like that. I also would like to point out, if you thoroughly review the visions and goals before reading the whole master plan, you will see where we're coming from, where the master plan is coming
Direction is
from,
going
and
in.
the direction is going. It really just tells you this was the vision, this is what people said, this is what we're looking at, and it's pretty thorough but succinct all at the same time.
Once this is accepted by the planning department, not only does it help, like Bob said, the CIP, but this, once it's accepted and taken, it helps the selectmen, it helps the ZBA, it helps Zach, it helps every other department down the line once this goes through and once the final decisions are made
also,
to uphold the town's wishes.
usually if there's a major subdivision or something like that going on, most people who are doing a big subdivision, they go through the master plan and point out different things that they're appealing to. So, I mean, it is a guidance in
Yes.
many different features.
In terms of the,
One other thing that we wanted to make sure we included in here is the fact that this is not a static document, it's a living document. And it's up to the planning board to make sure that the effort continues through the next 10 years to revisit it and revise it as necessary.
One of the proposals we have in here is definitely an ongoing subcommittee for updating and working on checking off things that are accomplished, not accomplished, where we have to get to.
But at the very least, an annual review.
Yeah.
And in terms of the public input, were there any diametrically opposed perspectives, or was everything pretty much uniform in terms of the feedback you got from town
I
people?
think you always have those standouts maybe, but I think for the most part, it
Consistent?
was very consistent. The lake and the natural resources were huge for people.
Right.
The business, but not big business, that,
You
and
didn't
that's in
have one
there.
issue that was one group here and one group here that?
No,
were-
not really.
The only thing I can think of that qualifies like that is people that said no big box stores and people that said we want another grocery store.
Yeah. And the type of restaurants they'd like to see.
Yeah.
One surprise that came through was that low tax rate was not very high on the list. That came in much lower than.
What was the word?
Low tax.
Low
rate.
tax rate.
Low tax.
Well, we have about the lowest.
I presume no one wanted.
We're
high
the
tax
11th
rate.
lowest in the state.
Yes,
How
that's
low can you
correct.
go?
I was gonna say it's the 11th here.
But that didn't seem to be one of the concerns that people had.
Right. And I would also say that I worked on the community profile for the planning department back in 2018. And a lot of the feedback that we got this time around was very consistent with that as well. So I have seen it be very consistent. And it's generally, we don't want any change at all, or no big business, or natural resources, the water, things like that.
And most of our tax basis comes from people that have 3 or 4 houses, so the tax rate doesn't.
Right.
There was a big push, I must admit, I was surprised on how much more effort there should be in the recreation department.
Yes.
Yeah, that really surprised me. And I think that's definitely in the future, a budget that's going to have to go up.
Capital reserve being the tool.
Oh, I understand. No, but I mean, it's one of those things that to me, as a reader of the input, I wasn't aware of that.
Right.
Yeah, the recommendations don't make that leap, though. I mean, we recognize that the reorganization of some of the town departments into the Public Works Department is going to help make for more efficiency so that maintenance might improve, and things like publishing a map of all the town recreation areas and trailheads will show people what you do have. So the recommendations weren't heavy on more recreation.
Now, does that include recreation vehicles too?
No, recreation in the sense like Parks and Rec, just things
What-
for
what did
families to do in
hiking and
town.
stuff like that?
Programs
Yeah,
and
programs and things like that.
more programs for elder, which, for kids, for, it was interesting. I mean, it's worth picking up the comments and reading back through it. It is amazing.
There was a specific discussion here about the Mount Major Snowmobile Club, for example, but
I'm just
there was,
reading
no-
about them.
there was nothing specific about ATVs or anything like that, but there was about.
Oh, the only reason I mentioned that was because I don't know if you guys keep up with John Harrigan up north. He says he's ready to move out of north ever since they.
Could you get closer to the microphone? I cannot hear you.
John Harrigan up north,
Co-ops. yeah.
he was making the comment, he's ready to move out because they implemented recreation vehicles, and he says now it's all night long,
Yeah.
Oh, it's
year
true.
round.
Around here, most of the feedback, and I would say from the community profile in 2018 and now was like number one was trail connectivity, walking trails and bicycle trails.
Yeah,
And they
that's
want to
fine.
be able to get from one side of town to the other, or maybe like a rail trail or something, along those lines. And then more family programming, things like that.
But Berlin made its bed and they don't have to sleep in it.
We
Yeah,
made-
they did. That,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. We should. be
We're not
careful.
proposing that.
But even on bicycle in the summertime, if you started using snow machine trails and stuff,
Well,
where does insurance come in
the
on
thi-
that?
Yeah, the thing
for the
is of that
homeowner?
is that a lot of the snowmobile trails are on private property.
Right.
And you'd have to get permission from each landowner to run motorized bikes or whatever else on it, so.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at. And
Yeah.
then you come into an insurance problem.
It's not so much the insurance because we have, when they get they get a trail permit from a landowner, it's an easement. But the only way we got some of the easements is because the snowmobile clubs do the monitoring. And if there's a renegade snowmobiler, they're the ones that catch them and turn them in.
I think
So-
we're digressing a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah.
here. I just had a quick question. All of the answers to the questionnaires, we had a handout a million years ago on that. Is that online as well? Is that,
It was online. I believe we replaced it with the plan itself. If you'd like a copy, I'm sure we could get one.
I'm just wondering if, because this is going to trigger well, what were the answers?
Yep.
And I mean,
Yeah, like Tom just said, some of.
Are we only
it's
allowed to have
worth
one
reading
document
Some
on?
of them, absolutely. And like I said, it was available. As we progressed, we put our progress up on the town website for
Yeah.
people to view, but we replaced it as we progressed. So now it's the final draft.
It's 52 pages, so.
yeah, I just wondering, is it worth also having that document online as a cross-reference to people who are reading through this?
Not as an appendix to this, but.
Not as an appendix,
But
but
it's
as a
available,
separate document,
Maybe say where the reference material is located in here.
right?
Okay.
Let me ask you.
So yes, I can ask Josh to put that on the back
Yeah.
on the website.
Yes.
Because it's all about transparency.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
There's
You
no
have a lot of
surprises.
old
No.
people in Alton,
No.
and a lot of the older generation are not savvy with computers and stuff. So how do we get to them and stuff like this? We got to find a way to get to the,
Probably like the other things that they need in town, they can be made hard copy at town hall. They'd have to come down and get it.
And I do
some-
have
Yeah,
hard
but-
copies in the office.
a lot, like I said, I deal with the state and I get stopped sometimes and they'll tell me, well, you should go online every night to see what the new rules and regulations. Well, I don't have the time to go online after I've been out 15 hours or whatever. And so I'm just saying, is there a way we can reach out with
Usually,
Something in the
usually
town
like,
hall.
yeah,
Something
usually
in the
it's
news
coming to
in here.
town hall for a
something in the
copy.
newspaper or something like that, or
Uh,
letting them?
It filled several pages
Yes,
of the
it will,
newspaper.
it
Oh,
will be.
just saying, just telling the older people that
Yes,
they can
because
come in,
that's
they
how
can
we
come
did.
here.
Yep.
that it's
You
available.
would put
at
it
the time.
online. It would be in the newspaper. You can call the town hall. You can
Yeah.
come in for a copy. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. that's
Because
all
we're
I'm
very
saying.
aware that not everybody goes online.
Because my mother was one of those.
Yep.
Lucky she could use a cell
Yep.
phone. I mean,
And that's why we did the mailing to everybody to make sure we tried to hit as many people because not everybody goes online.
There's a lot more ways than one.
So I know we've taken up a lot of time and we know that our other people, are there any other questions or
So
comments?
just for clarification, and we also received October 16th additional edits for the master plan from Tara. And so I think everybody has that in their package, just a single page.
That,
Mostly,
It wasn't enough to warrant reprinting all of those. I mean, we didn't want to waste.
It's wasting a lot of paper.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right, right. It's just.
So I think the question, unless Jessica has a different thought, would be with those edits from the 16th and finally giving in and getting rid of the word cloud and beefing up section 1.1, do you know yet, are there other changes you want to see before you're ready to schedule a public hearing? Or do you feel that will be a good point to see what the public thinks?
yeah,
Or do you,
Tara,
or do you
I'm-
not
I'm-
know for another month?
Yeah, let me interrupt you just for a moment. I'm the only person who has voiced against the word cloud. You should not be making changes because of me.
Well, then you should poll your board and see what everybody else thinks before we leave the meeting.
So I mean, I'd love to see,
We weren't changing
a-
it for you,
Let
but
me
you said
s-
it again. So we may have considered it.
Yeah, we wanted to wait and see.
You're gonna poll the board.
Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing another option of doing the same thing.
Maybe you have the word cloud, and then a list.
And a
Yeah.
List.
you know, both,
Okay,
Okay.
appease
to have both.
appease the crowds.
I like the word cloud myself.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Guys.
Good job.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Yeah,
Right.
you know,
So I think we
After we-
still had the question of, are you ready to schedule a public hearing, or do you want to decide that next month?
I think,
Did you get a question?
yeah, so the question is are we at the stage where we can schedule a public hearing with these minor changes that have been talked about?
No, I think that it has to be, I think we need a workshop with just the planning board going over things, answering people's questions, and so that you're familiar with it and feel comfortable with it.
You go to a public meeting.
Not, you don't want to go to a public meeting at this point.
I agree. I agree.
No.
At least a workshop, at least one.
Okay. All right, so let's, we'll have to talk about
We'll get this
scheduling a
stuff
workshop.
back to you. You get a chance to see it. Then if you want us to do some more discussion with it, we can do that. And then, so you feel real comfortable, then schedule your public meeting.
There's no rush. I mean, it does, there's no, we don't have to meet a date or anything like that. It's when it's ready, it's ready. Well, I mean, you know,
All right.
I'm not trying to rope you in.
All right, so we'll, the planning board will have to, you know, how long do you think it's going to take for you guys to make these edits? And
We have a meeting on,
The 2nd of
Yeah.
November.
is our next meeting.
Is the action plan complete too? That other working document? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
it is
So
going to
after our next
take a week or
Yep.
two
I think
to understand it.
A workshop after that.
Yeah, but the devil's always in the details.
Yeah.
Oh, of course it is.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm
Yep.
just answering my questions as they come up. It's fairly, I had it pretty well laid out for them.
Good night.
All right. So under public hearings, 2214 was continued. So next on the agenda is case P 22-25. This is the minor site plan review, operate a family group child care home and existing single family home up on Alton Mountain Road.
See, that was one of the ones I didn't get the email on. Why I was brought it up when we first came in. I would have liked to have been there to see that
Oh, for the walkthrough?
for the walkthrough.
All right, so this was determined complete at our last meeting.
And we went on the walk to make sure of what the orientation and where the parking was.
Yes.
Otherwise, I didn't think there were too many questions.
Other than the septic.
What?
Septic.
So.
No, the septic was solved by John Deaver.
Well, John Deaver voiced his opinion on the septic,
Well,
and I think Roger still has an opinion on that.
Well, but I think that the ZBA based their opinion on the septic.
The ZBA struggled over the septic. Finally, they settled.
But they settled it so that it's out of our hands, is what I understood.
Correct.
Now, Mr. Dever has clarified that it is out of our hands at this point since zoning has already ruled on it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's true. But go ahead. The state's the one that make the rules on it, not the ZBA.
Not being there, may I ask what was the problem with the system? Roger.
It's not the same measurement as required.
So the question is that it is an existing 3-bedroom home with a 3-bedroom septic system. There intent is to not use 2 of the bedrooms, am I correct?
Correct.
And basically in exchange, have up to 10 children in a daycare facility. So, and the ZBA, from my understanding and my interpretation from what John has told me, is that by making the decision that the ZBA did, they basically have said that those, declared those bedrooms cannot be used as bedrooms as long as there is a daycare facility operating in this building.
Okay, so they knock it down to a 1-bedroom house.
Not in so many words.
Not,
Yeah.
but that's basically what they're saying. You can only use 1 bedroom so long as they're running. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Did I get that approximately correct?
Correct. Yep.
All right. So we did do a site visit, and we did, I think we were able to do a great demonstration of just how congested that driveway interaction can be, as we were all trying to leave at the same time. And it was a little confusing, to say the least. So I still have a real concern over that. The ability for, up to 10 vehicles dropping kids off at approximately the same time, the overlap, especially with the time that's going to be required to walk these children all the way around the house, or pick them up and walk them all the way back around the house to where the parking and drop off is. That I think that there's going to be a serious traffic issue in your driveway, let alone out on Alton Mountain Road. I'm concerned about that. I don't know how the other board members that did the site visit.
I think it was the fact that there were no cars in the actual parking area because it's still being worked on. We all parked on the driveway. That's what made getting out awkward.
Well, actually, Jessica and I were parked over in front of the future garage.
Oh, okay.
So, and then, Bill, were you parked over in front of the regular garage, or?
Nope, I was where Tom was along the driveway.
Right.
Which did.
I was the first to escape, so I didn't see a problem.
Jimmy was there and he was parked.
And
on
he
the
was parked in-
side,
in-
like near
Yeah,
the
Tom was there,
walkway.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
And then most of the cars that were there were along the driveway.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
Going down to the road.
right.
But it is tight, because I remember with Bill trying to get past, and he was giving me the evil eye about hitting his truck.
I thought I was gonna have a new pinstripe.
And that is the area that was identified on your latest drawings as additional parking, by the way. It's off the side of the driveway there.
Yep.
So,
There are 3 spots.
How many kids you planning on having?
A maximum of 10.
Maximum of 10. So we're not gonna have 10 vehicles going in. Fine.
well, you could potentially, I mean,
Drop-off times, I think would hard to conceive of them all coming at the same time, but
Right. And as I
Oh.
mentioned, I could have staggered drop off and pickup times if necessary.
Well, I help my son with daycare, taking his, and they've got like 45, 50 kids there. And even when I go down there, I don't see 10 cars at a time with that many. It's staggered, so everybody works so many different hours now.
I'm looking at this site plan drawing here. It doesn't seem as things line up.
So if you refer to the parking plan, that's the most clearest depiction of the parking situation.
That's one of my points is because I'm looking at this unattached garage. And I don't believe it was parallel with the
Right.
house. It was
So
set.
I did make another version. Maybe this will be more clear for you. That would depict more the parking plan on sheet 4.
That is different.
do you not have a site drawing, or, I mean, from your septic design or anything initially with the house?
No, that was not given to us when we closed on the property.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, when I was assisting Sarah, we did look in the building file and the septic plan wasn't really helpful for that.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just very difficult to work at something that's not to scale. It's kind of hard because it's,
Or are we professional blueprint drawers?
yeah.
That's why we had you guys come and see it firsthand.
And I think somewhere in this package, I can't find it right now, but there was something about that, again, about that driving around behind the new garage. And I can tell you, when I was there and looked at that, I don't see that as a possibility. That's not feasible at all.
Okay.
The other thing I see is, I mean, once you put those streetcars there, that's it. You got 3 cars, because those 3 cars have to back up. So everybody else is gonna have to be over here in the driveway. Place to back up.
Well, it's we're not really anticipating everybody showing up at once either. And I
There-
did drive my
That's-
truck around the
that is the whole
garage.
thing.
It is possible.
There is space where the 3 parking spots are next to the attached garage to back out. I mean, there's the driveway right there, and then I do this myself, but there's some, like, there's not trees there, but the dirt area where.
Yeah,
you
to
can
do a
back out
3-point
is Very
turn.
safe.
Correct.
As you face the planned garage, wasn't there space to the left side of that
Yes,
that you could designate as parking spaces?
there's that whole area that goes all the way back to the woods
Right.
by the shed as well.
I think I share Drew's concern that if the parking spots as depicted on this print, that's going to really be congested in terms of trying to get people in and out.
You have, in theory, you have one of these parking spots being occupied during the course of the day by an employee, right?
Oh, the car will be in the
Our
garage.
cars will be in the garage.
Including,
I'm gonna most likely be the only employee for a very long time, and at that time, that means I will only have 6 children. In order for me to have 10, I would need to have an additional staff with me.
okay, but your application is up to 10 children
Correct.
and
Well,
two-
room to
Future-
grow.
For future planning.
Right. So, so in the future, you would, in theory, have one of these parking spaces taken up by this employee.
I mean, technically, now we have 3 car garages. If they really wanted them to park in the garage, they could.
There's also parking down at the end of the driveway under the tree.
The problem we have is we're here today trying to make a decision and, if it doesn't satisfy, then it's anybody's game tomorrow when it, and say, okay, go ahead and do it. Now it's. There should be a definite route to.
Having that many kids, did you have to get the state involved?
Yes, the state will be involved. I'm still trying to work through this process before I have the state come to see the property.
They haven't even been up to look at the property,
No, because I need all of this to go through before I contact the state.
even for suggestions, they won't come up?
I mean, I can call them. I've been in contact with them.
I'll say maybe there's some suggestions they can give you as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to dive into the parking aspect or
The
lighting.
state, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just gonna say, the state only required me to go through zoning anyway, so this is just additional.
And for that employee, if she ever has one day, there's parking down at the end of the driveway under the tree as well, which in the wintertime I can easily
park
plow
there.
out. And I plan on extending the driveway there anyways, 'cause it's kind of a nice little turnaround for like the Amazon guy or UPS.
And is the state aware that you were planning to do this in the basement, which is something that wasn't clear to me until the site walk?
Yes, they're aware.
Okay. I know that there's all sorts of requirements with regard to using the staircase up through the house as your second means of egress in a daycare facility. based on the age of children, and then how many people are actually allowed to watch those children.
Right, so the children would be 3 years and up. Going up the staircase would only be in case of emergency evacuation.
Right, right. No, I understand that. yeah.
Okay,
But that emergency aspect is something that is taken into consideration.
yep, and once
What
I
did-
reach that, I'll have them take a
Chairman,
look
what
at
did
that.
they, oh, I'm sorry. to
No,
interrupt.
you can go ahead.
What did they have coming out of the cellar? A bulkhead or
No, it's a
regular door?
regular hinge door,
Straight walkout.
straight walkout.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing was questioned was the lighting, and I don't see a revised lighting plan here.
No, I see still dots along the pathway.
Yep, so we did discuss in the last meeting about the hardwired lighting, and we are in agreement to hardwiring the lighting. That's the only update that I'm aware of that I need to make.
Okay, because that's not on your new drawings.
So there is no
Well,
lighting.
there, it just says lighting, but we're happy to,
Yeah, I had an electrician at the house
hardware.
today, actually, and he's going to be probably putting in the hardwire for me because it's not my gig.
Well, yeah, you have to be a licensed electrician, but
Right.
So when you say hardwired lighting, so just to clarify, right
Not like
now,
a solar deal. It's
yeah, right now you're
juice.
showing all along the pathway. I think when we were out on the site visit, we talked about mounting on the house for down lighting to,
yes, yeah, that as well. The whole backyard's gonna be lit up so you can see the walkway.
okay, because none of that's indicated on the drawings that you've,
I wasn't aware it had to be on the drawing.
yeah, lighting plan,
Lighting
yes.
plan.
Okay.
So let me ask this question. So this says walkway. So does the state come in and say, well, you didn't put a walkway in, so you can't, they're not gonna do it? Or you just tell them, well, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this. Because after they leave here, we're done. We're, we say, because we know we were there was no walkway. It was something that we're going to do.
Right.
So if we give them the thumbs up here tonight, we have no idea whether a walkway goes in, whether lighting goes in.
well, I
whether
can,
there's room to park cars,
Well, it would be,
all these things.
it's a
we-
condition of our approval, so
Right.
our approval would not be binding until all of those improvements are done. So the state would, when the state comes out, they, in theory, they would be looking at our decision and verifying that all of our requirements were implemented.
Okay.
But realistically, the state's not going to do that.
They probably aren't.
No,
I-
but they won't get signed plans.
I'm definitely gonna have a walkway.
Until
Can't
that's
have
done.
people walking in the mud and the grass.
Yeah.
It's gonna be lit up because I don't want them to slip and fall or walk off the pathway into the.
But I'm a little bit in Roger's camp. I think the print should be kind of tightened up in terms of what those obligations are in terms of, the second floor lighting was to be hardwired. When we were out there, we talked about that.
I didn't realize it needed to be on the plan. And I had her talk to Jessica to know exactly what was,
Yeah.
I was just there to let you guys in, kind of the middleman.
But is there
We
any
understand
follow-up
that.
by Deaver on any of these things that, if it's a conditional approval?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is, does John Deaver or someone follow up in terms of if we give a conditional approval on something?
So he usually gets copies of these notices of decision.
Yeah.
So then he would know what to be on the lookout
Out
for.
But does he go back?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
but in order for him to sign off on the use, he would have to go back and make sure that everything we asked for was in, right? I mean,
Right. Well, if someone's pulling an electric permit, he's going out to inspect that.
Well, they may not pull an electric permit to add a light to the side of the
Yeah, I
house.
suspect that's not going to happen.
if they're adding lights to the side of the house, they still need an electrical
Yeah,
permit.
My guy
Right.
said he would pull a permit He does on all his stuff.
Right. So that would be inspected.
Yeah, and there was a smoke detector has been added or will be added or,
we have one, a brand new one inside.
okay. Yeah, I thought I read somewhere about,
Because the fire department has to come and inspect,
right,
so.
because technically the wiring of that smoke detector should have been, if it was an added detector, that would have been,
It was already down there. We just kind of made repairs and improvements to what was there.
Right. Well, I tell you, I'm still, I'm uncomfortable with, I don't think that the parking, the traffic has been resolved. I don't think that the lighting is properly represented, as we talked about, that it does need to be clarified on here.
What would you like them to do about the parking?
Well, I'm not in the habit of making suggestions on design changes, but there's not enough room to have more than a few vehicles in there that can back up and get out of each other's way and exit safely, I don't think. And
We agree that there's not going to be more than a few cars at a time because it's going to be staggered.
it's going to be very difficult to enforce.
That's just the same thing as, well, we're not going to use the 2 bedrooms.
And that's going to be something we're dealing with as running the
Stay there
business,
till you
and
want.
same with the families coming in and out. They're going to have to deal with that. If they don't like waiting 2 minutes for another guy to move his car, well, then they're not going to use our daycare. So I don't see why that's on you guys. It's more on us as the business and the customer bringing their
Well,
kids.
it is on us because public safety is
It's safety
a
when people
concern,
start
and
Backing over kids because
and
everything is
that's
so
as-
tight and you don't see them, and
the
I think
kids,
that's a
the
little
kids is what
extreme.
I don't think
is
that's
my
extreme at
biggest
all.
concern.
Well, may I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman?
You may.
Kids run
I
wild.
have no idea what, I mean, I know what I'm looking at, but there's no measurements, there's no footage on the parkings, no distances, no. And I've looked through this and I think we gotta have them make changes prior dimensions, measurements.
Not for nothing, but one of those spaces should be a handicap space.
So on this parking plan right here for parking spots 1, 2, and 3, it says 30 by 20 feet. And then for parking spots 4 and 5 is
Right,
40 by
well,
40.
What I'm saying is on your master plan,
there,
on your plan,
So
it's easy to write it down, but it's hard to see.
It's
it
not to scale. That's the,
On the plan, yes.
that's the biggest challenge. And that's what I mentioned at the last meeting that I was really struggling with, is I can't make heads or tails out of this. Your first sheet, parking spots 1 through 3 are not in the same spaces. Your sheet 4, parking spots 1 through 3.
okay, so I did notice that, and I did try to do an update. I know that this is not giving advance notice, but I do have an update of where I tried to make things more to scale. Here, if you would like this, I can pass this along to you.
Sure.
Do you mind passing that down?
I see where you change things around, but just.
I mean, there's just so many drawings that contradict the drawing before.
Because I'm trying to make the updates.
Something about.
So I can tell you that right off the bat, what jumps out at me as I'm looking over Brock's shoulder here is you have your walkway from your driveway passing through a parking spot.
It's off the end of that, off the
Yeah,
end
but
of
the
the
parking
driveway.
goes back this way, doesn't it? So according to this, the walkway's you gotta have a walkway somewhere.
Right, but if you've got vehicles parked here and here, you're walking these kids now. The car that pulls in here to drop the kids off is walking these kids right through.
The walkway would start after the after the,
So you don't, you don't,
Driveway.
this really should be a no parking area.
Where you walk in through the center.
Yeah.
Well, if you think of the walkway starting where the first set of lights is,
Spot too, for that, extra width on a handicap spot.
I guess I still see the bigger issue being, one car coming in as one car is trying to exit. And is there enough room for two cars to pass each other?
Not going out the driveway.
Exactly. I mean, so,
you have to do a 3-point turn to drive back. Nobody's gonna,
well, somebody's either got to back out.
He's talking about when we're coming up the mountain and you pull in and this guy's heading out. There's no room to pass.
He's,
It's a one car.
it's pretty tight.
One-way driveway.
Somehow you need a pull off or something like that, it would seem to me, to address that issue.
So what is the width of your existing driveway, of the
Mm,
paved portion?
I'd say it's about 10 feet.
Have you guys had somebody come in and draw up a plan like this, so everything's right exact to scale? Rather than hand draw it?
You have not.
I think they were trying to avoid that expense.
Yeah.
I understand that, but,
For six kids coming in, you're gonna
Right.
spend more money on some plans than you are for.
yeah.
right, but they might not get approved if you don't have something to,
If you can't show travel, I mean,
I don't even know.
I'd be honest with you, I'm kind of glad they're actually sitting here, because I can guarantee you there's about 10 of those in this town that didn't even come here before. So, I mean, there's gotta be
Right.
something to be said about
I'm-
that.
I'm trying
It's
to do
6
this
kids
the
in a
proper-
daycare. We're not talking about putting Walmart in up on the mountain.
Exactly.
we're talking 10 kids.
We're talking 10
10
kids.
kids.
Maximum.
Plus an employee.
That's a maximum. She just said she's gonna be at 6 right now.
I'll-
She can't do more than 6 by herself.
Right.
Right.
So do you want to change the application to only allow up to 6?
That's up to her. I'm just saying that I'm glad they're actually just sitting here and going through the process, because
I don't think that's a bad suggestion,
Say that again?
because we're looking at such limited space.
So their ZBA approval is based upon the 10 kids with the 2 employees. Just want to
Two
point that
employees,
out.
so now there's 2 more spaces gone.
No.
The 2 employees, if she
total
has
of
more than
2.
6 children, she needs the second employee.
She's one of the employees, yes.
Correct.
So,
Well,
Is this in an R zone?
Yes.
Oh, we got rid of that.
All right,
Oh, here we go.
hold on, Lee, it's there now.
What if they're all showing up on snowmobiles?
I mean, if we say something, that doesn't mean that the ZBA has to follow what we say. That doesn't mean we have to rule. If the ZBA said you can do it, then why bother coming here?
And
ZBA said they could do it. So let's just move on. They can do it.
the more I think about it, what
we have,
Brock said, that he limit it to, have them limit it to 6. And the more I think about it, he's right. They're one of the few that's probably come in, because I do know some people that are taking care of kids that they never came in here and asked permission. So they are at least
I
doing
mean,
the
at
proper
that
thing.
rate, though, I wouldn't be going through this process. I do want to, at some point, have 10. If not, it's 5 children on my own without going through licensure. So.
okay.
Well, see, now if she had it at 6, she wouldn't have to get the state involved, right? Anything over 6.
Yeah, I
I
don't know the rules.
I don't-
think
But she's
that's
just
correct.
saying it's not worth her time to do it
Right.
for 6. So she's going to
Well,
start
5,
at
she doesn't
6.
Have to get the state involved.
No, 6, she don't have to.
No, 5.
Five.
Just say 5.
I would have to
5.
double check, but I'm pretty sure if I were to look it up, it's 5 that I could have without getting the state involved. So why I'm here is so I can be fully licensed to.
And have the other
10
5 if you
Have
want.
the other 5 if you want.
Mr. Chair, if I may make a comment.
Yes.
So I feel like we're at a stalemate at the moment.
Well, reading something here that I just wanted to comment on. In your review, you talk about off-street parking for kindergarten day nursery. It's required to have one space per staff member plus one space per 10 children. Is that correct?
That comes from the regulations. That's coded from the site plan regs.
Well, come winter time, I don't think there's gonna be a problem. He runs a plow truck, so he can plow the bypass area very simply.
In the line.
Can you read that again?
Kindergarten day nursery require one space per staff member plus one space per 10 children.
So then she's
So
covered.
that would mean
And
that I
she's
would
got
need
it.
one space.
She's
So
covered.
you only need
Which
one.
I did read that.
Right, so out of the suggested uses that are listed within the site plan regs for off-street parking, this was the one use that was most similar to the ones that are listed.
So what she needs is a total of 3 legally.
I mean, the board could require more
But if
if they
she,
feel like
if
that
she's
needs to be
proposing,
accommodated by, making space for parents. This is just the use that was most similar.
It's no more dangerous than driving to that elementary school every morning.
So.
It still doesn't address-
I highlight that just to contradict, excuse me, all my arguments so far. So.
Thank you.
But it still doesn't address my concern, which is one car coming in and another car exiting on
Right.
that driveway, especially if it's snowed and there's
well,
walls of
he
snow.
runs a plow truck. That's his job. So he can plow an extra space.
You still can't get 2 cars by each other.
Driveway's
You'd
only,
have to dip off the driveway.
Yes.
driveway's only 10 feet wide.
But it's also
Drive
level.
on the
It's not
snow.
like there's a stone wall on each side of the pavement. You can go off
Drive on the lawn.
into the woods and
Yeah,
drive on the
exactly.
lawn,
Or widen the driveway. I mean, that's.
which I plan
Drive
on
on-
doing. I just,
In the wintertime,
They just got here. Give him a chance.
only been here
It'd be nice to
4
have a little
months.
revenue coming in before you start.
Yeah,
That's what we're
it's-
trying.
It would be nice, that's for sure.
I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere.
So I think, for the categories really that we should be focusing on, I think we've resolved this off-street parking concern. The septic system, I think that has been put to bed by Mr. Dever. The site landscaping item, I think that it's already a maturely landscaped site. I don't think that that's of a concern. Traffic impact analysis, which I think is a concern both on the property as well as on Alton Mountain Road. I think that still is a
Well,
little.
they're not even on Alton Mountain Road. They're on a side road that goes on to Alton Mountain Road.
No, they're on Alton
No,
Mountain
they're on
Road.
Alton Mountain Road.
Driveways on Alton
Yeah, we're
Mountain.
next to, you're thinking of High Point.
Oh, right.
Well, I don't think the traffic impacts are
No.
an issue.
Well, in the sense of the vehicles safely being able to enter and exit in the winter is really my thought.
but
But
that
certainly on site with the width of the driveway and the ability or the understanding of the your clients to, the person who backs up is the one should be backing up to your property to make room for the other one, not backing out onto Alton Mountain Road.
And that's why I was trying to put a turnaround down under the tree, which they could still do. I'm gonna plow a spot for that. It's just, crabgrass. It's not
I mean.
flower bed or something.
Add, the easiest solution that I'd be happy to do is for me to provide parents with allotted pickup and drop off times. So one parent drops off at 7:05, the other parent drops off at 7:10. I mean, they're literally just dropping their child off and
But
leaving.
no one's gonna follow those
Yeah, nobody's
guidelines.
gonna-
That's just not.
They gotta be to work at a certain time and it takes you 50 minutes to get.
I have seen it in the
How-
past when I was a director at a center.
How much of a job would
You know,
it be to just
did
dump
work
a-
Couple
successfully.
loads of gravel, widen the driveway out.
I was gonna say or just at the end of the driveway, they're talking about a place to past, just where you first pull on your driveway. I wasn't there. But just dump a load of stone or something to make a turnaround area right off on one side. So
Oh, right. Again, I was planning on doing that right in the front under the tree, but it's not on the drawing. I just, like I said, income or kind of.
So is the driveway's 10 feet now? I mean, it's not on the plan.
It's gonna be plowed out, so it'll be wider than that as well on the wood side especially.
It'll be as wide as he wants to make.
Right.
Yeah, but those are the type of things, I think it needs to be 14 feet wide so you can get 2 cars by. I just see it as in a difficult situation.
I just see somebody trying to help their income out and we're just putting stipulations on that's, we should be helping them get started, not put them under before they even get started.
I agree.
That's also our job to make sure everybody is safe in the process.
I realize that. That's why I'm saying we can put a few conditions, make a turnaround that people don't have to back on the street, that they have a place to,
There is room.
even
to
if
do
they
a
back up,
3-point
they
turn at the
have a
top.
place to turn around before they go out onto the street. We can put a few small conditions on there to help them get started, get an income coming.
Do you have a machine, a tractor there, a bucket machine?
Yeah. And when they did the site work for
No,
the
no, I mean,
foundation.
you personally.
No, I don't have one. Rick Lundy just left it there for a few weeks.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
So if we're gonna have them put it in the turnaround at the end, at the beginning of the driveway, after they start to make some money, how do we follow up on that?
I mean, you can,
You did a site walkthrough before.
Not gonna happen. That's,
It does, sidewalks don't happen again after approval.
We're not approving, we're giving them on conditions. They'll
Right.
have an approval.
So the condition, if that's listed as a conditions precedent,
I-
then these
personally,
conditions
I-
need
Hang
to
on, hang
be,
on.
these conditions need to be completed, all of them, before the plans are signed. And she needs plans signed in order to go to the state.
Right. And
So how do they make money if they don't have their plans signed yet?
Sometimes it takes money to make money. So I mean, you bring in a couple loads of gravel and you make that turnaround.
Exactly.
You get the electrician to put the light on the house. And I mean, that's the 2 things we're looking for.
I mean,
What do you want us to do? Just say, do whatever you want?
there's an obligation from this board, the way I see it.
yeah, but what walkway? You're gonna make them put in a walkway? What, a kid can't walk over
No,
grass?
they're putting in the walkway. That was what was said. They're putting in a walkway. Right now, it's like walking through the backyard. There's no walkway.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If we're trying to help get them going, have a turnaround. Everybody's saying they want
But you-
all
you-
this
you-
stuff done before they get started. I say get a turnaround. Make it so they can start making some income. If they don't have the walkway completely done, I mean, so a kid has to walk through a little bit of grass to get into the house and he might get his sneakers wet. I mean,
Yeah, we can't work like that.
Exactly.
It's unfortunate that it's just gonna take money to make money.
You're setting them up to lose a lot of money. Somebody slips and hurts
the
themselves.
walkway's
they're suing.
going in. That's already
You
been
know, I
decided.
mean, so.
well, they said the walkway's going, that's why I'm saying.
No,
do
the
it-
walkway is gonna go in and if, I can get a crushed stone at the end of the driveway for the turnaround down there. Like I was saying, that you can already use it as a turnaround and it's as easy as telling them that it's okay to drive over the grass. It's not like there's a stone wall there. I park my boat down there all the time. There's plenty of room to drive right on there and spin it around and drive right out. If you want crushed stone, we can put that on there too, but usually it should be dug out and dense grade and then packed and then put the crushed stone and that way it doesn't have sinkholes and become a mess.
Now, how far do you own on that driveway up the mountain? Not really- I mean,
probably
the
like-
Mailbox is
like-
there and there's bushes there, to the right of the driveway on your way out. So you really can't extend it to the right. Going out, your room to extend would be to the left.
I was saying for the turnaround, but yeah, to extend the drive would be on the left side. It's like 15 feet.
Well, I don't even know.
to the wood
I don't
line.
even keep mentioning turnaround. What I'm thinking is you're coming up all Mountain Road, you pull in the driveway. Oh, a car coming out.
We could pull right in there.
Pull over, not
Yeah.
a pull.
Okay, so
turnaround.
turn around or a pull in.
Pull off.
Pull off, yeah,
A pull in, you know, not a place to turn your car.
a
off.
bypass.
Yes, yeah.
Another another parking spot.
So my thoughts are, I mean, if I was coming up the mountain and pulling into the driveway, that spot would be on the right.
On your left.
Okay,
You're
so
On
coming
the
up the
long
mountain.
side, not the wall side.
Take a left into the driveway and then a left right under the tree. You're out of the way, everybody's way.
We parked on the right-hand side.
No, I know that, but I'm thinking the mailbox, so you're not gonna, move, you know, the mailbox and then the shrubs there.
It's right after the shrubs on the left.
After that.
Go in around the
Yep.
shrubs.
Just
And
make
that's
it
already there. That space is
big enough for a
is there.
pull over or a turnaround. All you have to do. I mean, if it's a turnaround, it's gonna be enough room to pull in as a pullover.
Well, the turnaround, it's pointless. I mean, you're way down the end of the driveway. There's nothing to turn around for. Basically needs a place for two cars to pass.
Yeah,
And that would be it. They could pull off all the way off the driveway on that side.
So there's no room on the right-hand side. 'Cause
There
that's-
is some room over there too.
There was some space, but there's trees on that
Yeah, I
side.
mean, if
so
you have a
that
truck-
You're not gonna take those trees out, I would imagine.
No.
So I think
Right
somehow you have to get,
Stone
At the beginning of the driveway?
There is space to get a car fully off of the driveway on the right
And
as
that's what
well.
I'm talking about, is you're coming up the mountain, you got all the shrubs here, so you can't see a car coming in the driveway. You're not gonna see a car coming down the driveway until you actually pull in. So now
That's
you've
true.
pulled in, you've got a place to go. You don't normally go to the left of a car coming
Which,
down.
which you
go to the
do.
right of a
You
car.
do have the space to pull off to the right, which and I'll be moving the snow drift off as far, pretty much into the woods. There is space to put the guy had his,
And it doesn't have to be that big either.
there was a
Like,
dually,
wide.
fully parked there when they put up my garage. It was a dually truck with, the trailer was all parked off the side where you're talking about, not on the pavement where they were. And then the boom truck was brought in on the pavement past the dually. So that was a lot of space right there to pass.
Well, it sounds like there's the capability at least to do something along that driveway, stone it and.
If we want to make it look fancy, of course.
And get some, so can safely, two vehicles can pass each other. And not have that surprise at the driveway.
It's there. It's there now.
I think what Roger points out, as long as you can turn off of the main road and then be able to pull over when another car is coming out, that's fine.
Which
as
you
far as I'm
you fully can. Especially towards the end. Maybe not up at the top where like the little stone wall is.
Right, but you
At the
can,
bottom,
once you
there's
turn in,
plenty.
you'll know whether there's someone coming out or not.
Right, absolutely.
You said, Jessica, that there was only one parking space for 10 kids? Is that how it read?
Who said that?
So according to the site plan regulations, the closest use the closest use was the kindergarten or daycare nursery, and it required at least one space per staff member plus one space per 10 children.
And they're proposing 5. If you take the one that is in the middle of the walkway away,
you still got it.
you still, they're proposing 4, which is more than they need.
So, and technically I would just need 2, because like, as I said, our cars are gonna be parked in the garage. So I'm trying to.
Yeah, but you're an
provide-
employee, so.
I'm an employee.
Right, but what I'm
Irregardless.
saying, so it still covers you.
Regardless, yeah.
I mean, that there basically solves the car problem.
That one right there.
I passed it down.
Oh, did you?
That's what I'm trying to get at. One car per 10 children.
Yeah, sorry.
And one for the employee, which she's the employee right now. That's only 2 parking spaces. She's putting in for 5. And you've got enough room that a load of stone or something on the right as you pull in.
It's level. I mean, it's not like you can't.
Excuse
go
me, can I
off.
call a point of order? If there are multiple people talking at the same time, none of this gets recorded.
Sorry.
It's just blank.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. And I'm guilty of that in this case.
Well, what I was getting at is Mr. Brown over there was saying that you needed 14 feet. Well, if your driveway is already 10 feet, you only have to add four more feet up on the right-hand side for two cars. As one's coming out, and one's coming in to pass. You got your
Exactly.
parking problem solved.
It is
leaching
level,
system
too.
solved.
It's level now that you can do that. We do it every day. It's just not pavement. It's not fancy. It's dirt and
Don't
rock.
need to be fancy, just stone or something. Just-
What about when you got a lot of rain? Is it muddy?
It rained all, no, it's
I mean, I walked today and sunk in the mud.
it's drivable. You could drive over it right now after it rained all day or all
The
morning.
easy solution
that's
is
what-
just to widen it 4 feet, in my opinion, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
that's,
That's the consensus of the board.
I mean,
If it's 1 per 10 and he widens it out 4 feet and everything else, the leaching system passed.
And designating the hard wiring, or I guess that's a condition precedent then. For the lighting.
Well, all conditions could be precedents.
Yeah, and the lighting, and again, I don't think that ground lighting is going to be appropriate, especially with snow cover and clearing and shoveling this walkway that you're going to be installing.
well, I meant like posts that come out of the ground as well as the lights that you want on the side of the house, which I want too. I want it to be nice and lit up back there.
So from the regulations for lighting is a minimum of 1 foot candle for safe walking. So just something that's basically pretty dim, but that is a minimum requirement in the code for 1 foot candle. The other item I had was your hours of operation. Seems to be some confusion. I think it was 6 to 6.
Yes.
That's what we agreed upon. You can, I'll try to state that.
Because I think it showed up as 6 to 7 again somewhere.
Right. I had emailed Jessica about that,
No,
but
mine
I'm in
says
agreement
6 to
that
s-
it's 6 to 6.
Mine says 6 to 6 on it.
Okay.
Can I take a stab at a proposal?
Please.
Can I go? can I go
Please.
through the-
You
so
may.
I've been writing down some conditions.
I
that you
have
guys
too.
have been talking about. Do you want to go, do you want to?
What I'm looking at is walkway lighting, fire department, and the parking with the 4-foot extension of the driveway. If anybody has anything else, I'll gladly add it.
What was the fire department aspect?
They have to inspect it.
Yeah, just adhere to the comments from the fire
And the
department.
state has to inspect it. But I mean, from our point of view, it just simply has to be the things that we require.
When you say the widening, are we talking just crushed stone?
Functional.
Something so you won't sink if come mud season, whether it's hard there or not.
Well, they haven't been through mud season yet.
And the other thing is, it shows a purpose. Now, if I come to your house, I'm not just gonna drive on your lawn because somebody's coming. This shows a drive here.
Yeah.
Shows that there's a purpose. It's there for a reason. Not, just drive on the lawn if there's somebody coming.
Okay, so Jessica, can you run through your list?
Yep, so they were similar to Tom's. So I'm just going to review the ones that are already written in the plan review, just so that we can just go over all of them.
Yep.
So number 1 would be to submit the proper amount of plans after approval. Number 2, amend the note on the plan indicating hours of operation, and do the same for the executive summary, just so that they match 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Also in the executive summary, revise the number of parking spaces from 4 to 5. Is that what we agreed upon, or was it back at 4?
Oh, I think we're actually down to 3 requires.
Yeah, but if they just do 4, that's fine. Then they don't have to worry about that part at the top of the walkway.
Okay, so
Have
in,
met-
so in the executive summary, revise the parking spaces to 3 and do the same on the plan. Number 4 was hardwire the lighting in the walkway and also to mount the lighting on the house. Where specifically on the house was that? Above the door to the
Yeah, there's
the
actually,
daycare
there was
entrance?
a couple of opportunities to.
Over the
mount on
door
house.
and there's one on the side of the house already, isn't there?
So there is already lighting outside the door of the daycare.
Okay,
I think.
I think up.
I
Was
think
that
we
in
pointed it out when we
the
were
corner of the
there.
porch?
Corner of the house and one on the
Yeah.
corner of the
Second
house.
floor,
Point
correct.
Two different directions.
Right.
Into your walkway.
She was
this
saying there's
way.
one over the
And then-
door already.
okay.
What we talked about was one second floor that would be shining down on that walkway.
Big spot floodlight.
Right,
Yep.
correct. Is that what you were anticipating doing?
Sure.
And I think we even
But
identified.
you're shaking your head no, and he says sure.
He'll do anything.
I mean,
To be
it's, you
honest, he
know,
just wants to see me be successful.
Because we talked about where the power would come out for
Yeah,
that
but
light.
We even identified a power source that was close that you get it. And that way it can shine down on the walkway. behind the
Right. I mean,
door.
I don't know if you saw, but we do have a very large, tall light off of the back deck. I
Yes,
was planning on keeping on 24/7.
But look, the light
And that's-
saves
and that's
you from a
fine. That-
liability standpoint too. I mean, this is a business and I think you need to be concerned about, frankly, any litigious type of thing that could happen in an accident. So I think having a light that really lights up that walkway is really required.
Is there any way of putting one on the corner of your house so it shines both ways?
yeah, that's what we talked about when we were there with you, was putting it on that corner,
Exactly.
what Roger's talking about, where one would shine down on the walkway in the back and then the other one would shine down on the kind of
Go
parking
around the
area.
corner and show that area as well.
Yeah.
It's written down on the thing and that's what we gotta do. That's what I'll tell my electrician and that's what he'll do.
the post light is going to be helpful, no doubt about it, but it's not the answer to all of your lighting requirements.
Just leave
Um,
it.
Saying.
And just to take this a little bit further, though, they also need lighting out at the parking area as well. That is,
I have he's gonna put a floodlight on the garage as well,
There's one already there, isn't there?
on the detached garage.
Yeah,
So it's
on
gonna
the
light up all,
detached.
There is.
it's gonna be well lit.
Okay, so I have it to indicate the walkway and the parking area.
yes.
Okay. Okay, we all set with lighting?
Well, it says, and then number 5 would be the walkway itself.
Yep, so I put, yep, construct walkway from parking area to entrance of daycare door. Number 6 would be to adhere to the fire department requirements as listed in that department head review. So number 7, are we now not doing the turnaround at the beginning of the driveway in lieu of the widening of the driveway by 4 feet?
Correct. That's my understanding.
Right.
Correct.
That is what that is.
All right, so
Towards the end, we're
then,
not widening the entire driveway,
No, I think you need to widen the whole driveway.
the whole driveway. Okay.
No, we had said just a section on the right-hand side so that cars coming
Could
out can
pass.
pull past.
that's
Well,
what I,
yeah,
that's
so-
what I just asked.
Wasn't the whole driveway.
So just to clarify, I think that the minimum width of the driveway should be 14 feet. And understand that once you get up to the garage, that thing widens right out anyway. So you can kind of drop that added 4 feet. But you're not, by doing the length of a car at the end of the driveway, 4 feet wide, you haven't solved a
No,
potential
I
traffic
feel like
issue.
I'm not saying 4 feet. I'm saying, he said there's some trees on the right-hand side. Widen it out from there
Yeah,
up to the trees.
You have to do it on the left side as you're going in, right?
The right
You might
side.
have to do it a little straddle it.
I think that you talked about the right side as you're
Both
driving
sides,
in.
Hang on, hang
both
on.
sides have space for the 4
We're
feet,
all-
but not the
we're all
entire way
parked
up.
Off the right-hand side of the driveway.
That's
Where you
what I'm
guys
saying.
parked?
That sidewalk, everybody was off the driveway to the right. Could actually drive a car up the driveway with you all. parked to the
Almost.
right.
Almost.
Almost. I would agree.
Almost.
Yeah.
towards the end is where you wouldn't have
But
been
the
able
point
to
is
do
you
it.
can
I
get
think,
4
yeah,
feet
you were
additional
a
in
little
that driveway.
More
where you
aggressive
have
in
to
getting
work
off
with
the
stuff.
driveway, yes, you absolutely could have driven vehicles by, so.
You know, the truth of the matter is probably a wheel of load of gravel would probably.
It's not a
extend
huge
that-
amount of effort, right?
Would extend that all the way up 4 feet.
Yeah.
Sometimes a whole truckload just as cheap as
Oh, yeah.
brings a half a load.
Yeah.
Oh, it's,
Or you could
Gonna
spread it
drive
out,
with the same
dump it up
truck.
above and just bring it in.
So Jessica, what do you have?
So that was it. So number 7 was just to widen the driveway by an additional 4 feet.
with
Okay,
crushed
then.
stone.
Or should we specify,
Not
make the
pavement.
driveway 14
Crushed
feet
stone.
wide?
Right.
I think we should call it 14 feet wide minimum driveway width.
Yeah. Because who knows, maybe it's actually only 9. So if you extend it 4
measure the-
to 4, then it's 13 feet.
Okay.
I don't know if you'll be able to get
I'll reword
14
that.
at the very top where it kind of gets narrow, but
But isn't that right where the garage is as well? Your existing house and garage under is
it's
right
right
there.
before that where the garden is. That's where there's like a tree right there. Then you have the stone wall, so that might be the only issue right at the
that's
top
why I
there.
was saying in my original, from the beginning of his driveway up to that tree he was talking about having to take out, which is almost the full length of the driveway.
Say call it like 3/4, 5/8 of the way up. 3/4.
If he extended it to 14 feet wide from on the right-hand side all the way up to that tree. Then is that where it starts to widen out on the left?
Yeah, then it opens up a little after that.
Actually, it gets wider on both sides, I think. doesn't it?
Are we talking towards the
Not
end?
the asphalt itself, but I mean, the area, the trees are back further once you get closer to garages. So where are we with the?
I'd like to make a proposal to approve case P 22-25 with the following conditions.
Yes, can I call a point of order?
Yes, you may.
So there were several things that the board had talked about, or maybe just a few, that they would like to see updated on the plan. And I think that needs to be specified as to exactly what else on the plan needed to be fixed.
I think that was on number 1. You wanted to work on the dimensions is what I had written down.
I just want to make sure before we
Yep.
go to public input and make a motion.
So I think that the drawings do need to be cleaned up and corrected. As I think you'd already identified some of the items,
Okay.
we're down to 3 parking spaces. We're down to identifying the widening of the driveway. You can do that with a dotted line where the new width is going to be. Hopefully you can do something close to scale on the drawings.
Graph paper?
We're up for anything.
No, I mean, it'll help you.
Okay,
Graph
thank you.
paper will definitely help
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. What else was?
Good
there?
tape.
So they, and just to kind of back up a little bit here, so they're also asking for an 18/36 sign at the end of the driveway.
That's John, isn't it?
That would be under separate permit
Yeah.
by John. Is 18/36, is that?
It's fucking huge.
It's
supposed to be 12
It's not that big.
That's
They're 1.5 feet.
4.5
3
square.
feet.
Yeah, it's 4.5, very good. It's 4.5 square feet.
Yeah, so
So I don't know what the
Comes
square
under.
foot requirements are, but.
24?
I think it's under the guideline as I recollect, having been through that.
And is there an intent to light this sign at all? So,
That's some long conduit.
no, I know, but I gotta ask.
Put it down before you put the gravel.
No,
And,
sunlight.
Exactly.
Well, that
Excellent
one- that one you
suggestion.
can do with the solar.
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 Yeah, there we go.
Not even. Someone will steal it.
I think it's 24 square feet.
Jessica, I'm assuming you're gonna give us all
In the
this.
rural, it's 3 by 8.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So not to exceed 12 square feet, residential rural, right?
Got a sign. I wanna put a
That
sign
doesn't
over
fall into that.
Yeah.
property, and
Yeah, I
it
think
said
you're well under that.
That's a
You're okay.
Okay.
residential rural, which would be 12. I mean,
All
3
right.
by 8.
So,
So we have the property dimensions, the driveway. Dimensions of
yeah,
orientation.
basically scale drawing, I think is,
Yeah.
Okay, and the board also needs to come up with active and substantial development or building and substantial completion of improvements. So the two thresholds.
I would say it's all the things we asked for.
I would agree.
So to complete conditions precedent.
Yes. All right, so we got all that laid out. So does the board have any more comments on this? Because we should go to public.
No, I'm going to try to list them. I have to finish the proposal.
We got to go to public first.
Okay.
So is there anyone from the public here to speak on this?
Good evening, Kelly Sullivan. Hi.
Hi.
I'm so sorry. I understand where you're coming from as a board and I can appreciate it. I appreciate, like Brock said, that you guys even came in for this permit. I know of a dozen home daycares that are not permitted through the town and they have no idea what the driveway in and out looks like or anything like that. So I do commend you for that. I did watch the last meeting. It was painful. I'm not gonna lie, kind of like this is gone. I can fully appreciate the lighting and a pull off at the end of the driveway. I do drive up Alton Mountain quite frequently. I did Google map the house. I do know what the driveway looks like. I know you can't pass the whole length of the driveway, but I do agree with Lee. If you have an area off to the right that you can just pull off and have somebody come, if you're gonna have maximum of 10 kids, so you have possibly 10 cars coming and going. I mean, you have more than that at a graduation party, coming and going. So I just would like to see you finish checking off your list and just hopefully get this approved, because I commend you for doing it, but I think it can be relatively easily fixed if we just move along. Thank you.
All right, anybody else from public? Close public session. All right, Tom?
Okay, so continuing with the proposal of the approval of case P 52-25 with the following conditions.
22-25 is the case number.
I missed it.
I think I heard it's 52.
No, 25.
Yeah,
22-25.
22-25. With the following conditions of, the first one would be working on a proper plan, which is a scale drawing with dimensions showing the relationship of place to place and where the location of the driveways are, where the sheds are, and where the walkway will be. And also showing where the driveway will have the additional space added to it. The second one would be to amend your notes and the summary to revise the hours to make sure that is consistent. And what was the other one?
Lighting?
No, that was just on the notes. I think it was just that one.
Yeah, it was the plan and the executive
Yeah.
summary.
3 would simply be, part of that is revising the parking relationship. Since you only really need 2, but you're gonna have probably 4, then you're well set for the future. You're covered. 4th would be addressing the lighting A, to the path, and B and C, different locations on the house, so that the pathway is well lit.
Along with parking lot,
I'm sorry?
along with the parking lot being well.
The walkway and parking.
And the parking lot, excuse me. The fifth one is the construction of the walkway. The sixth would be to address whatever the fire department has. And, well, we've already addressed it. I was about to say 7 is the driveway, putting the stone along the side of the pavement so that you have a 14-foot way. Anything else?
That sounds about it.
Yep. Do I hear a second?
So is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
I second it. Oh,
We have multiple seconds.
Yay.
I picked Lee.
Okay, Lee won. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? You're all set.
Get
Thank
to
you,
work.
guys.
Sorry for that painful process.
It's all good.
Yeah.
We'll take a brief recess here for a couple of minutes.
oh, we got a window.
It has to be.
Do I have to leave the table or can I?
Yeah, I think you do. I think.
Okay, so we're going to call this meeting back to order at 8:08 PM. Next case is P 2227, lot line adjustment on Stockbridge Corner Road.
Mr. Chair, I have to recuse myself because I'm in a landowner or butter.
Okay, thank you. So, Bill, you want to step in or?
I'm already.
Oh, you're already a member.
Yep.
Oh, we got Doug.
I've been a member.
All right,
We're all members.
We're all
You
members.
guys are all members.
We don't have.
gotta
any more-
wing it.
We don't have any more alternates.
No more alternates. All right. Thank you. So,
Bailey go off the planning board, or is he still a member?
I'm sorry, what was that, Roger?
Bill Devaney, is he still a member?
Oh, Tom? Yeah,
Tom, he is, he's not
He
here
is.
tonight.
Yeah, he's an alternate.
Hope he's okay, because he missed the meeting yesterday, too.
All right, so, you guys were before us last month. And since then, we've been to the zoning board. Yes, yep. So, and the ZBA's granted your approval, right? Yep.
yes.
What did they go to the ZBA for?
To meet the 2 acres
Yeah,
for the zone, the 200 feet of frontage,
yep.
and can't remember the other one.
So that was to
2
show,
acres
A, B, and
yeah,
D.
the contiguous upland for each lot.
Right.
And they couldn't show that because they didn't have the minimum requirement for lot size. So there was 3 variances and they all passed.
And they all got approved.
Yes. I had to fill in for John that night. I was there.
So, Jessica, in your notes here, you say procedurally, the board should move to motion to amend something previously adopted. You want to help me out with that one?
Okay, so at the last meeting, the board had granted the waiver for that 2575, so that third variance. So ordinarily, if you guys are fine with the fact that a waiver was granted before they got ZBA approval, you can just leave it alone and it can just be stated for the record. If you guys are still good with granting that variance, granting that waiver.
Okay, well, Mr. Williams isn't here.
Right.
But I don't know about how the board feels about that. I don't have an issue with letting that granting of a waiver stand.
I don't have an issue with it either, as long as it's just for the record. It just depended on if you guys wanted to do it that way or do it all over again. It's up to you guys.
But it passed the last time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it passed, but you guys shouldn't have granted that waiver because he didn't
Okay.
have the requirement. That was kind of my point of, do you guys want to rescind that and do it again?
Got it.
Or just leave it alone and that's fine if you leave it alone. I just wanted to point it out. That's all.
Gotcha.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Correct.
Leave it alone.
So is there anything outstanding at the moment? Other than the fact that they've gotten approval from the ZBA?
So it doesn't appear that we have anything else because under the waivers, that's already been granted.
Yep, so you don't, yep, that was only if you guys decided to do it again.
So, I mean, I think other than that little hiccup that we had.
Things in order.
Yeah, so,
And we're just dealing with a lot line adjustment, right?
at this stage, correct, yes.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Subdivision?
That's next.
It is not a subdivision at this stage.
It's next on the list, Roger. If you underneath
This
it.
thing here, it says, prior to signing an approved subdivision plat.
Technically, a lot line adjustment falls under a subdivision. So the only two items that were missing that could become a condition of approval were the sample deeds and the consent letter from the mortgage holder.
Both of those are in process.
Title Pro has already built the deeds and is drafted a letter and
And the mortgage company sent us a nice long list of things they want.
that's why,
We've already provided.
that's why we hired Title Pro.
The board have any questions?
I'm ready to make a motion, but I think you have to open to the public
Yep,
first.
got to open to the public. So as long as the board's all set at this stage, anyone from the public want to speak to this? Hearing nothing. Close the public session.
I'll make a motion that we approve case P 2227. With the only conditions of right now are the need the copy of the deed and the consent letter from the mortgagee.
Yeah, which is covered under conditions precedent and subsequent. So we want to capture all of those.
Yep. Where the conditions precedent and subsequent.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second from Brock. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. There you go. That one's done.
It's done.
Next on the agenda, case P 2228. Final minor subdivision at the same location-ish. So this one we haven't had the privilege of hearing yet. So let's just review, make sure our application is complete. And it's like maybe missing a couple of minor items.
Even check.
Yeah, so road and driveway profiles. Nothing. Future development. Left blank on the checklist. And sample deeds and HC permit approvals, which we know DES takes forever. We know that. Anything else that we should be aware of, Jessica, or?
I don't think so. We just can clarify those two things that were blank on the checklist, just for the record.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So can you speak to those two items that were left blank?
Two of the driveways are already there. Lots. The remaining land already has one. There's a gate there. And lot 5A already has one. Both of those already have culverts under them. Third one. It's, yeah, we figure we can sit there and do a driveway profile where I show it, but then the landowner's gonna come and want a different place for the driveway. So then when we have to do another profile, we're just gonna be getting a driveway permit from Public Works anyway.
Okay. And the future development for,
No plans on any future development right now. Correct?
No, other than subdivision,
Right. Just the remaining land in the two lots.
that's all it's gonna be.
so is that typically something that is noted on the drawing, Jessica?
That can be noted in the executive summary
Okay.
or the project narrative, whatever you entitled it.
Future development like beyond the subdivision?
You got remaining 38 acres.
No, it's just gonna be
You can
one
just
lot.
just put a road in there if you wanted, but you ain't got no plans on doing that.
So we just add that as a condition precedent to note that there's no future development. And the,
There's not enough road frontage on the remaining land to do to another lot anyway. And if you were to develop that, that would require putting in a road. And that's just not cost effective these days right now,
Yeah, but
especially this end of the,
10 years from now, you never know. So,
true.
yeah, so if we can have
But
that.
we
note-
don't know right now if he were to sell that, if someone else would want to or not.
Right. But for the sake of this review and approval, we'll add a note saying no intention of future
No
development
intention.
on the primary,
And where do we put that?
the mother lot.
Narrative?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm having a hard time
Yep. Hey,
hearing.
audience, if you could keep it down, it is rather distracting up here. Thank you.
What was your question, Paul?
So where would you want that? In the narrative?
About future development?
Yeah.
Yes.
In the project narrative. And I think a condition subsequent, we could address the requirement for the driveway profiles as is subject to town review and approval by the road agent.
Yes.
I didn't make it that far in your review. I'm sorry, but I assume subsequent includes the DES approval as well, right?
That would be.
We have
condition
applied to
precedent.
A precedent, yes. Sorry. Okay. All right, so with that makes, I think I'll go ahead and make the motion to accept this application as complete with those additions to the conditions.
Second.
So we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right.
So we deal with the waivers next?
Yeah. Showing all jurisdictional wetlands and our waiver requests were.
So as I understand it, the wetlands are shown on the subdivided lot.
And enough of the remaining
And
land
part-
is
yeah.
still buildable area.
Well, we see what size it is. That's the key.
All right, so the first waiver, Roman numeral 7, comma D dot 1 dot lowercase j, regarding delineation of all the wetlands. I will make a motion to grant the waiver requested, as it strict conformity would be unreasonable for the rest of this lot.
I'll agree with that.
Okay, so we have a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. And regarding waiver request, Roman numeral 7, comma D dot 1 dot lower N. Again, regarding the identification of all slopes over 25%, I would make a motion to grant that waiver for the same reasons.
I'll second it again.
Second it again. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? None. All right. Okay, so guys are so the remaining lots are all meet all the size requirements.
Refresh my memory. Did we talk about that at the last planning board meeting?
No, we didn't talk about this one.
Yeah, we didn't get to this particular.
Okay.
It looks very hilly, but I was looking at it with my magnifier. You're talking about a total of 40-foot difference in elevation, so it's not huge.
Pretty nice rolling land.
I mean, you know, if you don't know what the contours are, you know, it looks mountainous.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
may I make a suggestion? If the board could go through the planner review, sort of in order. So that way we ensure that we capture the findings of the fact, which is the new
yes.
law
The,
that the board needs to determine. So that way we don't miss anything.
all right.
We could start with lot standards on page 3, if that works for you.
Sure. So the lot standards, section 8F, 2 lot shape formula. So we have with the proposed lot size, it falls into that first category, 1 to 5. Which requires a minimum of length to average width of 3 to 1. So, and have we met those requirements?
Well, what that means is if I have a 200-foot lot, I can't go back any further than 600 feet, correct?
Essentially.
I'm only 500 something feet back with 230 feet of frontage.
So the math works.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Utilities,
I show the poles on the plan.
yeah. So we may require a detailed analysis, but we're figuring that you've got power out there and that's probably adequate to get
Overhead utility.
to a house. Driveways, each lot will be served by a driveway. And we certainly have them indicated here. The profiles, which are not shown, we've had that explained to us that 2 of the driveways are existing. The 3rd driveway may or may not go exactly there, but ultimately it's going to require approval by the town. Monuments, all monuments used as property corners, designate right of way, at least 4 by 4, 42 inches long. You don't have any issue with these monuments being required?
No. Maybe the rod man who has to bury it will. It's not gonna be me.
So we had no comments from Water Highway Police assessing fire conservation? No concerns. All right.
No comments or no concerns?
No concerns. Yeah, no concerns.
Which would also be no comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then if we get into what would be the definition of active and substantial development or building, I would say that probably setting the monuments. Anybody else?
Nothing else has to be done.
Essentially,
That's usually what you guys set. for
There we
things
go.
Like this.
I don't believe that there's a need for the board to do a site walk. And the time frame for compliance, 1 year. So subdivision completion and approval expiration. Applicant has 12 months from the date of the signing to start the work and must complete within 36 months.
What,
Here's-
monumenting?
Yeah, you think you can handle that?
I think so.
Okay.
One per year.
I was thinking next week.
Right. So we talked about conditions precedent. You want to run through these again real quick or?
The only one that I added would be number 10, which was note in the project narrative that there's no future development.
No known future.
No future development planned at this time, right?
No future development intended
Planned.
or planned.
We can't say they can't develop it.
Yeah, we can't say that. So no future development planned at this time.
That's what I said.
And the active and substantial development is again, setting in the bounds. All right. Is there anyone from the public talk about this? No. All right, closing public session.
I'll make a motion, we accept, we approve case P 2228. With the conditions precedent, adding one, number 10 for no future development planned at this point, and the subsequent conditions presented.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by Bill. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, they're good. Thank you.
Jim, on that paragraph, subdivision completion and approval of exploration. Bottom line say, normally the board shall not grant more than one extension for a project and shall only grant it for 6 months. We've granted over and over extensions, and we've granted them for a year.
Yeah, well, it says normally,
Right. So
Normally
this,
is what we normally do.
this
Well,
comes from your regulations.
but if there's somebody comes in for a reason, if it's if it's late in the fall and they want to pave a driveway, they can't pave it then, so the permit goes on for the following couple of seasons.
You're right. Probably that has occurred. And I think that that's kind of a reminder for us that is in our regulations. And so we should be thinking about that.
We
when
try
those
not to make it
situations
too
come up.
outrageously long, but and they're usually a reason why they're either requesting or we're granting an extra time.
All right, so next case. P 22-29, lot line adjustment, Lakeshore Residential. 11D.
Mr. Chair, may I make a comment?
Yes.
So your planner review reflects an older set of plans. A new set of plans got dropped off and an updated waiver list. And I had put those as additional paperwork on the table for you guys when you came in. I have not had a chance to review what has been dropped off against the planner review, just so that you know.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Do I have to be sworn back in?
Well, you don't need to be sworn in, but yes, we should acknowledge that Lee is back at the table. Thank you, Lee. Thank you. I'm not sure that I'm skilled enough to, oh, wait, maybe the waiver requests on the drawings. So initially, there was only one waiver request. Is that correct? Yes, sorry, I'll answer my own question. I'll actually read the.
Thank you.
So I guess I'm going to ask the applicant. The obvious change to the drawings is the addition of 2 waiver requests.
Right.
Are there any other changes to this drawing that?
Yeah, Scott Franco is from New Hampshire Land Consultants. This is Chris Pongratz, one of the property owners. Couple little changes or some minor changes that Jessica came up with. If you look at the notes, we had different frontage and lot area. I believe I was in a different zone or a different, you get a time frame of when lots were created. So I changed that. It's 50 feet of frontage and 30,000 square feet of area for each lot in this zone now for those lots that were created in that time period. We added the waive, 2 more waiver requests on the plans. We added the butters list as a chart on the plan on the top left side of the plan. I believe we added the FEMA, filled in the FEMA map note. There was some X's in the original submittal that wasn't completed. It was minor little cleanup stuff like that we added to the plans and some line type work and different stuff to meet your regulations.
All right, so maybe typically in such short notice, without the planner having an ample opportunity to review, we probably should continue this, but if the board's okay, I mean, I just assume, I think that these changes in the drawings are minor enough. And it appears that really it was in response to Jessica's initial review, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Yeah, and if you want, I could go ahead and give a short little presentation on it.
Yeah, let's give us a couple of minutes. I just want to make sure too, I want to make sure that, you know, we consider the application all there and we ever get the authorization letter?
From the mortgage.
No, from the trust to have you,
Yeah, the letters of authorization were submitted with the.
So the trust is owned by Kimberly.
Sorry, the trust has two trustees, myself, it's Christopher, and my wife Kimberly, who is here tonight.
Okay, so the reason why I questioned that is
Okay.
because the assessing database doesn't note that you're a trustee.
Oh, I see. Okay,
So that's why I requested a authorization letter, even though it's your wife.
okay,
That's the reason why I asked for it,
Okay.
because technically, according to the database, you weren't a trustee, therefore you weren't an owner.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that's an error, but I'm
Yeah.
happy to, whatever is most pragmatic. I mean, she's here tonight. She could write something if you need.
Yep, and you can also clarify that with the assessing department as
Okay.
well, so make sure that's updated.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
You can just come sit here.
There's an extra chair right over here.
Already do this for completeness.
no. No, we haven't done this for completeness yet. So I just having this last minute drawing is kind of, kind of doing some cross referencing here. With the additional waivers as well.
Ordinarily, I would have time to review a second submission before a meeting. But I'm by myself in the office right now, and I apologize that didn't take place.
There's a lot of towns in that situation right now.
Yeah, it's been pretty
unfortunately.
tough right now.
What drawing is it that just came in?
On the table,
It was separate on the table, separate from your packets, got the little highlighted.
It had New Hampshire land on the front of it.
This one.
Oh, yeah.
They hide.
So it looks to me like we're at the point where any of the missing items have been at least addressed through the waivers, which we can go over. And then, of course, the authorization letter. So Um, I think with the, as I was saying, with the exception of the agent authorization letter, although you're now before us as well. I think that it appears to me that this application is complete. So I'll make the motion to accept this application as complete.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right. So let's attack waivers real quick, and then I'm gonna have you guys kind of explain. So I think we have.
Mr. Chair, can I just clarify the number of waivers?
Yes. I
The
think there are
original
4.
waiver request had section F7 small e. But I don't see that listed on the updated request.
On the written request, or,
Yes, it is.
No.
Is it?
yeah, so it would have just go in combination with the first submittal, I guess, is the way we would say it. Because we submitted the first one, so that second one would just been a follow-up with the two.
So it's both of these sheets?
Yeah, there's 3 waivers.
3 waivers in total
That's
And
what I
then they're
was asking.
summarized as all
IE and-
3 on the drawing.
on the drawing, right?
The boundary line is between 2 developed lots. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you can see the corner of the house on the one, on the other property. I don't see a whole lot here except 16 feet on the lake and 4 feet.
That's everything.
That's it.
And we can explain, once we get to the point,
Yeah.
we'll explain why this is happening and the urgency of it, I guess.
Okay, so the first waiver that's requested is a waiver from Article 7, Section F.7.E. Complete boundary survey showing meets and bounds for each of the properties involved in the lot line adjustment. So the waiver requested, doing that complete boundary sufficient survey was completed and shown on the plan in the area of the lot line adjustment. So essentially, you're stating that it would be unreasonably burdensome to do more than that.
Right, we did a full boundary of the Pond Gratz property, the abutting property we're asking the waiver for.
Okay. I don't necessarily, for this issue, this lot line adjustment, I don't particularly have a problem with that.
I don't have any.
So I'm going to make a motion to accept that waiver request for that reason.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, so the next waiver request, Article 7, Section F.7.G, showing all the jurisdictional wetlands. Requesting a waiver. There's no new construction proposed on either parcel this time, showing wetlands will be of no benefit to the board applicant. Again, I don't have a problem with that. No new construction proposed on either parcel is speaking for your abutter, right? I think that's taking liberties.
He is one of the applicants on the application, and we have the letter of authorization that was submitted. So
Um, Did I see that?
In the beginning of the applicants,
Say that again?
right on the beginning in the applicants, under agent.
Oh, yeah, yep.
It's just not a name, it's Living Trust.
Trust.
354, it's a mystery.
Yeah, so the 354.
LLC.
LLC.
Yeah.
Limited Liability
Yeah,
Corporation.
it's the entity that holds the property for our neighbors, Don and
Yeah.
Julie Utertz, who principally reside in Florida. And they asked if I could be their agent at the meeting. It was my understanding we,
Yep, no. I understand.
sorry.
Okay, so again, I guess long.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to grant the waiver of Article 7, Section F.7.G for the reasons stated.
I'll second that.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, excellent. Next one, Article 7, Section F.7.I, to show the minimum contiguous upland area. And again, this is all for those same previously stated reasons. I make a motion to grant that waiver.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. I feel like I'm losing the audience out here. You guys are like dozing off on me. All right, so would you please
Sure.
now walk me through? Sorry.
So Scott Franco is from New Hampshire Land Consultants. With me is Chris and Kimberly Pongratz. So it is as simple as it seems. There's two locations for a lot line adjustment. One is on the road. This is to bring the Pongratz property into conformance with the 50 feet of frontage. Currently, they have 4705. It's been that way for a long time. This 2.95 feet of frontage and 4 square feet up front will bring the lot into conformity for the frontage. And then the other lot line adjustment is down on the lake. And there's some improvements on that, in that area that the Pongratz would like to have on their property. And then the whole reason for this lot line adjustment is the adjacent property went up for sale and under agreement within 4 days. And they would like to get this done prior to that changing hands, just because they're friendly neighbors right now and you never know what's going to happen after. So that's like was noted, it's about 16 feet along the lake, comes back as a little pie shape. It's 1,135 square feet. That would be transferred to the Pongratz from the New Hampshire 354 LLC. In that area, there's some arborvitaes, there's a patio and different stuff that would become part of the Pongratz property. And that's the whole application. I'm happy to answer any other questions, or if Chris or Kim could answer questions.
Okay, thank you.
No questions.
Just, maybe you already answered it and I missed it. The 4 square feet.
The frontage, right now, they have 47.003 or 05.
They need the 4 to get.
They need 50 feet, so we went over 3 feet and back 3 feet just to get that frontage. And which is the 4 square feet.
The lot is in compliance now.
All right.
Which is important.
Any other questions from the board? Any comments from public? Hearing none, close the public session.
I'll make a motion. We approve case P 22. Oh, is it 29? This is 22, 29? Right?
2229.
Got it. With the conditions precedent and follow and subsequent. And I think that's all there is to it.
The condition precedent, I think if that authorization letter is required, I think that should be added as a condition precedent.
So number 5, it's written, it's
Oh, is
number
it
5,
there?
says submission of written consent of each mortgage lien holder.
There we go. That'll cover it.
And the only one I did add was number 6, and to just amend, can you relook at this abutters information and make sure it's depicts the information on the actual abutters list, because it's there's
Okay.
some different information on that.
Okay.
You're 354 LLC, is that what you're saying?
There's some addresses that aren't the same.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Is this one gonna be one of those you're gonna call me tomorrow and say, can you come sign it? All right, next case, 2230 was withdrawn. Case 2231. Design review, major site plan amendment to a previously approved plan.
Call, gentlemen. Good to see you again.
Hi there.
I'm Keith Doobie. This is my wife Andrea. So we're looking to amend our approved plan from March to add 1,100 more square feet of mini self-storage to our plan. Just trying to utilize, we have the roadway coming in from the original plan, so we're just trying to utilize that coming in as more rental space, I guess. Taking it out of the approved contractor yard. The stormwater management is not changing for the whole property. The town engineer has looked at it. He agrees, no problem. My engineer agrees, no problem. Talked to the state, George Gubitos, according to the traffic flow. The original set of buildings was 2.5 cars per day traffic. These additional 1,100 square feet would be adding 0.26 cars per day. So we are well under 3 cars per day, which is actually less than what the contractor yard is even approved for. It's a good possibility. I don't want to put that in as a contingency by any means, but once these buildings go in, the contractor yard would probably be slowing down quite a bit. This is kind of hidden towards our retirement. So that's about it. My engineer, Scott Lawler, has gone over these plans. He sent in a waiver. Jessica has the copy of that. So he's added in a new lighting plan for the 2 new buildings, just two new lights. So that's about it. And there's an elevation plan in there as well.
Mr. Chair, if I can just note for the board that you do have copies of an email from the town engineer that agreed that there was no additional stormwater measures that needed to be addressed. And there's the email from George Gubitos from New Hampshire DOT about the driveway.
All right, thank you. I actually I looked at the stormwater when this came across, and I did a calculations. You actually increased the forebay pond. Looks like it's increased by about, I don't know, it was like 14 square feet or something like that. So kind of interesting that it looked like it got smaller, but it actually got larger. I don't know how, but.
On the plans? Because these
Yeah.
are the same plans. All they did was just.
They changed a little bit on the curve going up to your original buildings. That changed just a little bit on that curve, but they also lengthened it just enough. So
Well, that curve was widened from the very, very original plans. Then we had to change them accordingly to accommodate for the fire department because they wanted to make sure that they could pull in, back a fire truck in and then pull back out again.
Yeah. So, but you raise a great point with the fire department because I look at the turning requirements and I don't know if the fire department looked at this, right? I don't see them being able to make that turn.
That was approved.
First big turn around the newly proposed building.
What they wanted to do is they wanted to pull in front of, between the garage and the 10 by 120, the 30 by 120 building. So they're gonna pull up in front of that. They're gonna back into the roadway between the 30 by 120 building and the wetlands area and then pull back out again. That's what they had asked to do. That's what was done and that's what was approved. These buildings do not interfere with any of that because the roadway is still 20 feet wide, which was what it was before. What's coming out is we had an area of delineation of shrubs, crushed stone in the parking lot, which divided the roadway from the contractor yard. It was from my own peace of mind to keep people from driving in front of my garage where my father lives, where I live, and so on. So instead of having the shrubs there, the idea is to put the buildings there instead.
I follow what you're saying. I don't recall it being quite so tight. And I think that I guess I'm having a hard time understanding the path you're telling me the fire department was proposing to take was cutting through your contractor's yard?
No, the path is coming in the roadway, which goes around the contractor yard, which is, if we look on.
Goes next to the wetland.
Click on C1.
It's not clearly identified as the roadway per se, but my concern is that 90, they could make a 90-degree turn around that building and it's only 20 feet wide. And I don't see how a fire truck can make that turn.
The fire department only wanted to pull in front of the 30 by 120 building and then back in. None of that has changed. That is all the same as what's already been approved.
Well, except for now, you're putting a structure up on the inside of a corner as opposed to plantings. And unfortunately, I don't have the previously approved drawing in front of me, so I couldn't speak per se.
That corner hasn't changed. That's still the same.
Except for there's a building there now. You're proposing a building there.
In the original set of plans, there was a concrete sand bin with a Quonset hut, and there was also a storage container there. So those are been moved. You can see the relocation of the sand bin there, further into the corner, into the contractor yard. But those structures were still there on that corner, and the same with the shrubbery. All that delineation was still the same corner. That hasn't changed.
Okay, I'd have to take your word for it, but normally something like this would jump out at me if I had seen something, a 90-degree turn with only 20-foot widths. It would have drawn my attention. I just don't recall it, and not having those drawings in front of me right now, I can't verify. So,
okay,
but it's a concern to me that I don't think that a fire truck can make that corner.
Yes, it can.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Log truck made it in and out of there.
The building's not there yet.
It doesn't matter. The Quonset hut there, the containers were there, everything was there. The cement pads were there, and the log trucks in and out.
Okay.
And making that corner just fine.
Well, I think the best thing to do is just make it a condition that this print matches the other one. You don't have it now to look at, but nothing says you can't go back and look at it. And if this matches the approved plan, then off you go.
Well, so the approved plan didn't have a building there is my point. And a bush, you know, a fire department can drive over a bush or a shrub.
But it did. It had a concrete block structure there. Sand bin was there.
Okay.
Same footprint?
Same footprint.
All
All my engineer did was move that out and we put the building there.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed.
I would recommend then that the condition precedent be that the fire department it reviews that and verifies that that's going to work for them.
I
Right.
think
So
they have.
That's my concern. So specifically, and I know the fire department, they looked at something here and I don't remember exactly what their comment was.
can I comment, please?
Yes.
The fire department has not looked at this plan.
Okay.
They did not provide any comments, just design review. So they will get another set of department head reviews when a final application is submitted.
Okay.
Fortunately, I did not receive anything back, unfortunately. So yeah, they haven't looked at this new configuration.
Okay.
Just
Thank you.
there.
I forget, we're on design review, sorry. That was the one thing that grabbed my attention. So that was my biggest concern that caught my eye.
I think the most important thing about that left-hand turn is the right-hand swing.
As you go in his driveway, he had cement blocks with a Quonset hut, containers there, all on that footprint where he wants to build these new storage bins.
Yeah, but
Nothing has
we don't have
changed.
anything saying that that's exactly where that cement abutment was. So I just say. just-
Yes, you do. It's on the old plans. When we discussed that, we,
Here's a plan and, you know, you put it free.
It's all right. We're fighting a moot point here, though. The fire department needs to review it, make sure they're hunky-dory with it. If they're good, fine, right? I mean, if they feel they can make that corner, no problem.
Would the board like a copy of the prior approved plans at the next meeting with the final applications? You have something to refer to?
I think that would be helpful.
Okay, I can do that. Along with, hopefully, we have some comments from the fire department at that point.
Yeah. So other than that, I mean, you know, the management, the ground surface water management looks like it's okay. Traffic's okay, so I don't see any real issue here.
What is the situation with the abutter and the shared driveway?
She has no concerns. We've talked to her a few different times.
Oh, my concern was simply whether there are any lights on the back of the storage buildings.
So.
What's going to affect an abutter, that's all.
So actually, the only ones that had any concerns on the last round of buildings, again, that's all been approved. These two buildings here, the light is cast towards the pond, and on the other side of the pond is just acreage of woods. And the other light is casting towards, again, all those woods that are on my property. The only ones that had any concern in the last round was the Grays. They were actually here earlier tonight in support of this, but they had to go because things were running late. So their only concern was that as you go down the rows of the buildings, they were concerned about headlights towards their house. And we were able to easily solve that by putting up a screener on the inside of the snowmobile trail, which I have worked with Mount Major Snowmobile Club as well over the summer to make sure the trail is maintained to stay open and will still serve my purposes and the Grays all together all at the same time. As far as the lighting goes, there's plans for the lighting on those buildings. It'd be the same downcast lighting. It's L1 on the plans. Same downcast lighting that is approved for the other buildings.
That was approved long, long time ago.
Yeah, those buildings were all approved back in March, so we're just adding 2 new buildings with just 1 light on each building. Lights are really not gonna go too far.
Basically, all we need to be talking about is your 2 existing buildings you want to put in, all the other stuff's in pass.
Right.
Well, you know, when you change an application, you change a lot of things. So you do look at it. Because it was approved and now that's being changed, you still look at it as a new application.
But you don't have to look at the application that's already been approved 4 months ago. The only thing we have to look at
You
is
do,
what
but it
he's,
passed muster. I mean, the only issues would have been the traffic impact.
which he's
Storm
got all
water,
that.
the water and the impact on traffic. So you have to look at those things. So you do look at it, but it passed muster, so this commute.
But yeah, I mean, the light lumens here show that basically the casting is 0 on the other side of your drive. So it's,
It would be your low brown, dimly lit, light that you'd see over at the other places in town.
1,000 Kelvin. Scott's not
That's
here.
Scott's face
Yeah,
of
Scott's
saying
not here, so I had to say it for him.
I'm gonna leave that up to my electrician.
So we did have a note from an abutter or both abutters. Is that right? Mine's cut off, so
Yeah, it's just one abutter.
just one abutter, but the 2 owners
Yes.
that are emphasizing that they are not supportive of the 2 additional structures. So,
I read the comment. I don't know them. I've never met them before. I just don't know what the issue would be, to be honest with you, because I've got a lot of land between them and a lot that they don't have a house on. It's unbuilt. I don't even know where to begin on that one, to be honest, because nothing I'm doing would ever affect them even in the future. My driveway's on the opposite end. Everything we're doing is on the opposite end of the property. So I don't know how to comment on that, to be honest with you.
your copy.
Which
go back to
butter
you.
is it?
Yeah, it would be David and
Maureen.
Smith. So they'd be on the northern side, closer to Ham Woods, where the property narrows down.
Past that old landing?
Yes, exactly. I think they own that old landing.
Smith, did you say?
I believe so, yes.
Even
Smith, yes.
Maureen,
Yeah,
they're concerned about it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a letter on the bottom.
So there's a handwritten note on the bottom of
Yeah, I
the
can see that.
notification written to them.
It's way over here, though.
Probably the most popular teacher the school has ever had.
Buildings are over here. Yeah.
Maureen Smith.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
4th grade.
But
Yeah,
here,
it's
I'll-
not even a narrow table. You see that?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
David Smith.
That's a long ways away to be.
Yes, sir.
I don't know him. I know.
Okay.
Take
still around here?
you're gonna, that's a long ways
He's
away.
lived there
So,
for 45, 50 years.
I mean, that's all heavily wooded through there. That's not going to be going anywhere.
It's quite a distance between the
A
buildings.
lot of it's
and the-
jurisdictional wetlands that, can't do anything with anyway.
yeah, I mean,
So I can't see their concern on what we're trying to do. I can't explain it.
yeah, I mean, I certainly can't hypothesize either. I mean, they just simply said they're not supporting it. So, I don't think,
Doesn't sink the ship.
Right.
No,
I mean, it's gotta be a third of a mile from
Yeah,
here to
it's-
the woods.
It's
there.
all that.
I've got 577 feet of road frontage, so let's where the nearest building would be, I've got about 400 feet of woods just to the property line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's gotta be a third of a mile to there. I mean, you could fly in there with a helicopter and they wouldn't know it.
And there's not a house there, right?
No, it's just an
Just
empty
a-
lot right now.
They had their property logged off 2 summers ago, 3 summers ago.
All right, does the board have any more questions or thoughts?
Mr. Chair, so there was a waiver request, and although waivers don't get, you can discuss the waiver as to whether you
I
think it's
wouldn't vote on
appropriate.
it now.
Right, just get gets voted on at the final application.
All right, is there anyone from the public speak to this? Nothing, closing the public session. All right. Okay, I think we pretty much covered everything.
Well, the only issue we got is with the fire department.
No, the issues with Drew. No, the question to have the fire department review it and make sure that they're going to be good with that turning radius.
We've got a letter from the state. Letter from the town. So all we need is the fire department.
Yep. Yep, and this was just a review hearing. This isn't for voting on it or anything, so. Okay. I think that's good. All right.
That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, so at this point, you'd move forward with the final application.
So I'll come in and see you for stuff.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, I'll help you with that. Yep.
All right, so next on the agenda, other business, old business, ZAC committee update.
Okay, so ZAC committee. ZAC committee is currently working on a variety of ordinances. I did provide you with a draft that we're currently working on. We're meeting again, I believe it's next week.
Yes, Tuesday.
To sort of
Wednesday.
fine tune some more of what we've already been working on.
Well, they hit a lot of good points. They really did.
Yeah. And remind me tomorrow, but I have comments are written up too for that. I'm just gonna remember to send them here. All right, new business approval of minutes. We don't have the minutes. We'll get those next.
So can I clarify the minutes? So the minutes are completed. We have a new minute taker, Jennifer Reel. She does the ZBA minutes as well. She does not appear in person. Obviously, we have an empty seat. She transcribes them from home. So considering it was her first meeting, she's unsure of sort of who said who. So there are some blank sort of names. She wasn't sure who motioned. So I just want to clarify, they are done. They just need to.
Well, we can fill those
Fill in
in
the
at the meeting
blanks.
perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can help her out. I guess
Correct the ones that
in a
were,
case like that, I think what we need to do is
take notes.
when a motion is made or something is,
Saying the name.
you or Jessica have to say motion by so-and-so, seconded by so-and-so, because otherwise she's at a loss.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm not, I try to remember to do that. I got to do that.
It's impossible to remember it all the time.
I could do that better.
No, but I mean, I think that's the only way we can help her out.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great suggestion, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Notice how I said your name so that she knows. who's-
Yeah, I had to write names down because I'd forget people's names. Scary.
The correspondence for the board's review discussion is follow-up regarding the letter dated August 17th from Jessica to John Jedry, contractor yard, so just clarifying that he kind of skipped a step in the process.
So if I can clarify why you are receiving this letter for a second time. I did send this letter out to Mr. Jedry in August, just to, remind him that he needed to come for site plan approval. I haven't heard from him yet, so I was unsure what the board would want to do to move forward. How long do you want to wait to get a response back from him? Just trying to get some guidance from the board.
So it's 2 months.
Yes.
Somebody said he was shutting it down.
And I heard that as well. So I don't know how you guys want me to move forward with this.
Selling.
I think at this stage, I think a letter from John advising him, putting him on notice of 30 days perhaps to respond to the letter and make a decision how he's going to move forward. If he's shutting the yard down, he can respond with that and
Absolutely.
his deadline and
Just some answer.
yeah. So I think, sick John on him as
We need some sort of correspondence, communication.
the board okay with that?
Yeah.
And the board to motion to return the remaining funds in the drainage stormwater management escrow account in the amount of $600 to Route 28 Storage LLC, Dave Fuller, regarding the boat storage facility. And he's all done, signed off.
Yeah, he's all done with the stormwater management and with the town engineer. So I just want to return the remaining funds.
I'll make a motion to return $600 funds to LLC Dave Fuller Cold Storage Facility.
Okay, we have a motion by Bill. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Doug. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Done. All right. And then this did not make it on our list, the Ty and Bond Field Observation Report.
It didn't.
So that would have been under correspondence for boards information. So we did.
It would be if you can just announce what that is. for
So
the
yeah, so
record.
we do have a field observation report dated October 5th, 2022 from Ty and Bond for the Roberts Knoll Campground expansion approved a while back.
A lot of pictures of boas.
Yep. And overall seemed to be a fairly positive report.
Didn't look like
The only
big snakes.
confusing part was who he was supposed to call in for the inspections.
Once
But
you've seen
that's all
one, you-
sorted out now. All right. Any other business to come before the board?
Something I've been meaning to ask that was brought up a long time ago when we passed the boat storage on Route 28 south from here.
Yeah.
In the school, right?
The one right near the school, yes. They were not supposed to be using those driveways unless they came and got a driveway permit that was blocked off. And I had mentioned that at one of the meetings and everybody said, oh, it's all blocked off. Well, they moved all the blocking and they're using 3 driveways in through there now instead of the one that was originally designed to go in and out of.
Okay, so that may be a task for John.
John?
Which piece of property is that?
It's where that boat storage, supposed to be like 700 boats going in there on the left, just before the.
It's
high
right
school.
where the electric power company.
Oh, I thought they were just putting in big sheds for big boats.
Big storage.
Yeah, big storage.
Down back, way down.
Down back, but there's Cassie's Trailer Park used to be.
Yeah, okay, but he does he own the land or does he share the land?
He owns the land.
Right.
But those original driveways that went into Carson's Trailer Park were supposed to be blocked off and not used. They've unblocked them and they're using them.
Okay.
All right, I'll address that with John.
Sure, that's not Johnny Logger?
It is Johnny Logger. That's why I'm saying, did he get a permit to do it? Or did he not? Because Johnny had they made him build a new roadway for sight distance down further towards Emerson Road.
Right.
While they're using the 3 driveways closer to the hill.
Well, we'll let John sort that out now that we are aware.
I mean,
of
if
it.
he got a driveway permit to do that, fine.
Yeah.
It's trucks coming in and out of there. Somebody's gonna get nailed.
All right,
Mr. Chair, I have an item.
yes.
I was before the Board of Selectmen last night for my operating budget and it got approved. And with that, there were some changes to the job description for the assistant in the office. They are no longer going to transcribe the planning board minutes, like I mentioned earlier. That will free up some time for them to help assist me with some of the committee work. So it will just be me at meetings, setting things up. And the part-time secretary will do the minutes instead,
Okay.
just so you're aware of that. And then this job posting can finally get posted now that that got approved.
Do you have any candidates or too early?
Not entirely sure. I had some people that were interested, but
Okay.
again, couldn't have anything submitted until this was posted, so.
Yeah, but now
Not sure yet.
that they don't have to take meeting minutes, they're not interested. All right, anything else to come before the board? All right, how about public input for non-case specific planning issues?
Those legs still work? Sabotage and
Lauren Carr. So I take it you haven't scheduled a public hearing for the master plan, correct?
Correct, it has not been scheduled yet.
Okay, is there going to be any more input from the board into that master plan before the public input?
We will have one, according to what we discussed tonight, we're going to have a workshop, so we'll have one more opportunity to kind of discuss what is in there with the revisions that have made based on what we suggested tonight.
Okay, I guess I didn't catch, what was the changes that you requested?
So one of them was the word art portion of in the very beginning of it. I don't know, how familiar are you with the master plan?
I saw it online.
Yeah, so
The word cloud at the beginning.
the word cloud, that's what it's called.
Different directions.
Oh, with all those words. Oh.
so the
This
size
thing.
of the word indicates the emphasis of it.
Size of the word and the amount of times that it was written.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Doesn't,
That's what they call a cloud, okay.
Yeah, I guess that's what they call it. I'm not a big fan of it myself, but
These are some other additional changes that would get included.
One of the things that was talked about this evening, I made a couple of notes for us for the meeting. There was too much on the natural resources and then we discussed that back and forth.
yeah, I
but
suspect that won't
it-
change.
I think that it's important to keep in there.
Yeah.
But the hazard mitigation will link up with that. And dealing with the rural residential. It still exists.
But there was no decision on the rural residential and the rural, the IU and the II.
Right, no.
Residential.
It exists as it is today.
Right now, Lauren, it hasn't changed at all. It would have to come back to us and we would have to say, we want to take the rural residential away. Right now, it still exists.
And that would still have to go to the
And then
town.
it would still have to go to town meeting or.
Yes, but if it's in the master plan and it goes to the voters,
it could be worded in the article that recommended by the master plan, correct? So that would have some weight. If it's left in there,
My point.
That's my point
it would
too.
have weight on the voters. And if a majority of you don't want that in there, then it shouldn't be in there, correct?
That would be.
Well, wait a second.
I
You're-
would say that that's an accurate statement. If a majority of us don't want that in there, yes. I'm not convinced it's a majority of this board.
So is that going to be worked out at that workshop that you're coming up? Okay.
The question also, Loring, is it's not so much, the difference that was being made was that is a map of the long-term future for plans, just ideas. Nothing has changed. You have to have something that you're working towards. The input that was put before the master plan committee with all the questionnaires and the comments that they made was that they wanted to see more of a confined commercial area. And that was what the proposal was all around in the area near and around the circle. And the idea of trying to keep some of the rural area more rural. So the goal ultimately would be to break up the rural. As far as I can see, I made that proposal, what was it, 10 years ago when we had the last master plan. The rural and the rural residential represent 80% of the town. And you have places where the rural butts up against the lakeshore residential. And there, that causes some conflicts. You have places where they butt up against some places where some businesses would be inappropriate. So by breaking it up, and there are also places that are more than a mile from any road.
Now, is that, and this is just a question because I don't know, but
No, it's
is that gonna affect property values if we take away residential because my house is residential commercial. And if that changes that residential commercial to just residential, does that change my property value? I think it does.
It does.
First of all,
I
it's not
think it's a
residential
valid
commercial, it's
question.
residential rural
It's residential.
is what
rural.
they're trying to.
Yeah.
Well, right,
So-
No, but
so
it-
let me ask you this, Tom.
Sure.
Okay, so let's get rid of the rural and make it all residential rural.
No,
You want to get rid of something, so let's get rid of.
no,
the
because
rural.
the residential rural is an artificial zone that was created by two people,
Didn't have to get rid of anything.
Ken Gilbert and Ken Chamberlain.
So
Were the two people who created that when Ken was a selectman.
we can save this debate for our workshop. And we probably should be talking about a date for that workshop, but clearly there's some strong feelings about this. And so I'm hoping you're going to be at that workshop.
I'll
and-
be there.
Oh,
but-
I'll be
but
there.
With the same voice that I've had the last three times, they just, there's no reason to remove it.
Yeah.
Want to remove it? Put that down the road and put that out to the voters if they want to remove it.
Nobody has removed
It would be,
anything.
it would be put out to the voters. I mean, that's the
Just
thing.
remove
So
it with your map.
But if you have it in
No.
the master plan,
It's in the master plan. It's gone.
No, it's not.
no, it's not. That's not the way master plans
But I
work.
think what they're saying.
Hang
too-
on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you pulled up a copy of our master plan from 10 years ago? How much of that came to fruition? How about the one before that? How much of that came to fruition? It's all it is a guide, and we're supposed to be revisiting it every year and tweaking it and tuning it and directing it as the town sees fit.
I think what they're all saying is that since it's in the master plan and the people read it, it will influence their idea on
right.
voting for it is
Yeah,
is my perspective of what it is.
That's what he's saying, basically.
Yeah, and
I made that comment earlier.
And I don't-
When the normal person goes to vote on it, whatever they see is suggested, they're gonna put yes.
probably.
Without R&R there,
Well, I think,
they're gonna vote that out.
why don't we wait until we discuss this at a workshop?
We'll take it up in the workshop.
And look at the work that leads to the reasoning for something. So it's not just in the action that you see, it's what leads up to it and why you're doing it.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you feel as though we should take out R&R? I'm just saying in the future.
So again,
I'm
guys,
not-
I'm going to turn this back again, and I'm going to state that this is a good workshop discussion. This is not, we're not going to have the debate right now over
Well, the
this.
public
I think,
wants
I think
to-
Mr.
gonna say,
Scott's
I'd
got
like
the
to
floor
hear
anyway.
Lauren's
But
input.
yeah, and I don't think that we're not going to be making a decision right now on
But
this, so.
He wants to ask a question.
Mr. Corey, would you like to share your thinking on this?
No, I'll do that at public input, but asking questions. I will say, watching the videos of the master plan, early in the one of the meetings, the chairman, not the current chairman, but the current chairman before had stated that if it's not in the master plan, the town can't do it. So that tells me you're kind of locked in. So I was surprised to hear that on the video.
Well, no, that's true.
Well, not necessarily.
Okay, well,
Well,
I
no,
guess it's
if-
true or not true. I don't know.
Legally, what Sessler was saying in the past years, the concept is that everything hinges on the vision, the master plan, and the zoning ordinance. And those three absolutely have to agree. If they don't agree, the town can be taken to court.
Right.
But if they agree, the town has complete defense.
That's correct. But what it is, just because something is or is not in the master plan does not dictate what the decisions of the town are going to be down the road.
No,
So, I mean, we've said this is a living document,
absolutely.
right? So and all it is a guide. That's all it is just kind of a guide. So if you deviate from the guide, as long as the public supports it, you can deviate from that guide.
I mean, I'd be surprised if more than 10 people have ever read the master plan,
Yeah, me too.
quite frankly.
No, but once word gets out there that R&R ain't on that plan,
Well, does it have weight or does it not have weight? Then you're telling, I guess that's the argument. But
So
anyway, we're
it
moving
does have-
on,
it does-
moving on.
So
I
just to clarify and expand on that, so the weight that it does have is that you can always kind of go back, if somebody's trying to muscle something into this town
Mhm.
that's really against what the master plan says is kind of our goals, well, you have some pushback ability. It may not be ironclad in a court of law, but you've got some pushback. So that's kind of, I think, what
You're
the gist
you're
is.
scaring me now.
I'm scaring you.
No, you're telling me we have this document, but it really doesn't mean anything.
Well, that's the truth.
It's a document that it's the goal that you're trying to work through. I mean, we know
It's like.
that progress is coming.
Make that little list for Santa.
He's got it.
May not get it, depends whether daddy made any money.
And I'll come back to my argument. Why the heck are we spending the money to do this?
Because legally, we need it, and we need it for a lot of different.
It does-
Legally, it doesn't amount to anything.
No,
Okay, I
it
get
does
it.
have weight. It does.
Can I
Okay.
So,
chime in?
Sure.
I have to say,
Yeah.
when you you asked about public, I put out in my notes to prove it. You know, you can interpret this input for these 800 people dozen ways. So I ask that, that they kind of prove, if you have some objection to it, I think they have to kind of prove, you just can't say, well, we want rural, so that means we can change the R to RU and all that business,
Yeah.
right? It has to be the community's input into this thing, right, that drives it. It can't be the 10 people or whatever's on there, right? So when you made that point, I think that's an excellent point, that if somebody objects, I think they got to prove that there's a point that the people made that they want this, not some general, oh yeah, well, they want rural, so then we'll do this, we'll do that. So I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's what I said, but
Well, it was the gist of it. I'm ad-libbing here. One other thing, when I was watching those meetings, was really concerned me. And it was stated again that the survey didn't say much about the tax rate. And at that meeting, it was commented, well, wasn't much comments about the low tax rate. And I'm quoting, so now we can be more aggressive with the spending. That concerns me, that this survey is being used to say we can be more aggressive on on the spending of this town.
That's one person making a comment.
That's right. Nobody objected. Everybody sat there and they lived and they didn't say a word. My opinion. And I want to bring up one more thing. I came in here on 5/17/22. I talked about the CIP. You remember? As I was walking out on the video, 3 hours, 47 minutes and 52 seconds, someone made the comment when I was walking out. Another individual was in here, turned to him and said, "Any more noise?"
Say that again. Any more noise?
Any more noise? I don't think that's appropriate. I know you may disagree with everything I say, but that was not appropriate. I don't think it's noise.
You're looking at me. You're saying I said
You
that?
can look at the video.
You don't understand what he's saying?
I understand what you're saying.
I
Someone
understand.
complain?
So I'll agree with your statement. That is inappropriate. So.
Dave Huzzy, 356 on Cook Valley Road. All I got is a clarification. Tonight it was made that the state has easements for the snowmobile trails across all landowners. That's not an accurate statement.
Not across all land.
Okay, well, you didn't say that. You said landowners. I just want to know that that's not true. I built the half a mile behind my house, stumped it, and I allowed them to go across it, the snowmobile trails, and I will always do that because I believe in recreation, but I have no agreement with the state. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention that you guys know that.
Yeah.
The agreement actually is with the club. There was a couple of the problems that were held. They were trying to get a couple of clearances over in East Alton. Somebody did not want to give a permission for the trail.
Yeah.
So we talked to the people and brought them together.
Yeah.
And they said the problem is we've had problems with people going through here and causing trouble.
Yeah.
The snowmobile club said, we ourselves will monitor it. And if there's somebody who's causing a problem, we'll take care of it. And they did.
Yeah, the snowmobile trail guys have been excellent.
They have.
I have no problem with them. I just want everybody to know that that trail is there for them to use as long as they don't abuse it.
Those landowners then went back and talked to other people and explained to them and talked them into putting in the easements.
The only thing when you said it, Tom, you said you didn't say some. You said all.
No, I didn't mean what the
Yeah, so
concept is.
That's what
If
that's
you
all.
if you get an easement and explain what it is, they'll.
That's the wrong word.
It's not an easement.
It's not an
Not an
easement.
easement.
It's landowner's permission.
Exactly.
It's an easement on some of the
No, it
property.
No, it is
I
not an
didn't want to make
easement.
a big deal. I just wanted everybody
It's
to know. that.
landowner's permission. And then what happens is once the landowner has granted that permission to the snowmobile club, it gets rolled over and covered in the state-sponsored insurance program.
Yes.
That's the key
Exactly.
part of the
You're
whole
exactly
thing.
right.
Exactly right.
And like I said, the citizens of Alton are welcome to use that trail for snowmobiling only. And they understand, I don't want four-wheelers on it, I don't want motorcycles on it or anything like that. But they can use it for as long as I'm alive. Whoever buys the place after me, you'll have to negotiate them. Yeah, and one other thing, Jessica, on your master plan, is there going to be a hard copy passed out so that we can sit, read it and mark things up so we have questions?
So that master plan's about 150 pages. So I would be unsure as to how many copies I would be able to provide to
What
the
if
public.
what if somebody comes to you and asks for a copy? Can you get one for them?
So is there a per copy rate?
I don't care if I
Town
have to pay
charges?
for it.
That's
I
what I'm just
wanna
curious because
I know I'm treading lightly on having to charge people copies of a draft.
I know, but hey, I'll pay for it.
Ordinarily, if you were to come in and pick up,
Yeah.
if you were to
What's
come
that?
in,
How quick of a reader? I'll lend you mine. I'm not gonna run home and read it.
Well, I want to I just like to get it before your
the public hearing.
so that if we have questions, we can write them down when it comes up.
Well,
That's it.
So
the
ordinarily,
next
yes,
master plan
$15 a copy.
subcommittee meeting is November 2nd.
Can we go to those?
You can go to any of the meetings, absolutely.
I haven't been around, so I.
No, but I mean, the thing is, after that, then the master plan committee has to set up a workshop with the planning board and discuss things and go through it. We're not talking, maybe
Just like
January,
anything else.
February.
You yourself would like to read something.
Oh, absolutely.
That's all I'm asking for.
One more quick thing.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
One more quick thing. On your master plan, you need to sit down and decide what is considered an easement and isn't an easement. Because I hear too much of easement. That,
All right,
no, I'm just telling Tom to bring that up. It's
well, that's state law defines easement. We don't need to bring it up in our master plan.
Well, it is brought up.
I'm gonna make a motion real quick if I could.
You can try to, but we still need to set up a meeting.
Okay, so the master plan workshop with the planning board can't be scheduled until we actually have the next master plan
I
committee
was
meeting?
promised that you would have it done at the next
you
master
want
plan committee meeting. No?
Lauren?
Fine. Make the motion.
I make a motion to
Thank you.
adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
All those
Oh,
in
that's you.
favor?
I'm sorry.
Aye.
I want to stay.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Awesome.